Targamas is marking him, Caps is around, all of the rest of Rogue are catching waves or in base. So now Rogue are against super creeps in all lanes and a Baron buffed up G2. G2 can even wait for the soul as well if they want to.
And it was only 6 months ago, people were saying G2 are done and dusted, you know, the Reckless era did not go well for them. They failed to make Worlds for the first time in their history, and now Revitalized, Reborn, Flakked, Targamas, and Broken Blade join Caps and Jankos in what seems to be a victory march. Unrelenting, they continue to push forward. Baron buff. Malrang looking for the flank. Jankos caught out. Jankos shut down. Com takes it even with the Call of the Portugal coming out. The stun onto Caps. He cleanses a little bit late. Rogue trying to defend. They got a man advantage, but what can they do? The shock blast goes wide. Caps still advancing. Flash charge. Trippy tanks it. Perfect play by the support from Rogue. But the death from below is enough. And the death of Rogue is written in stone. G2 claim their 9th title.
Thank you for watching Match History. Every single week, new moments and legends are born, and today's action is just about to begin. Stay tuned.
control of this lane.
Incredibly impressive stuff. Really inspirational.
And here we go, he's looking for something. What a move! This man is on fire!
That's the kind of play which makes me want to be on stage. Hold on.
Thank you so much for joining me. Tell me, how do you feel after making that play?
Of the Ruined King, Diego shuts down Misfits for the ace, the pentakill.
One on one, he's going to go for it, I think. Jump.
The block! Oh my god, Mickey! That's another, that's 4! Humanoid, you absolute monster! Wow!
If you had it all, would you look the fall in the eyes? Could you walk away this time? Will you realize, recognize it's never over? And the flame that once had died. Awaken. Will you rise above the days to come? Will you be enough? Will you walk away this time? Look to your left, to your right, leave the pain behind. 'Cause we all face the fires, and we stray from the light. Gonna leave the pain behind.
If Comp is not 1v9ing the game, we should probably just win, because I do think Odomna is good, but I think I'm better. And I do think it goes the same for Caps Jankos, but they do play well around Comp. Obviously, he's a threat, right? I think he does silly mistakes sometimes. I think his brain turns off at some points of the game, and that's where we have to punish him. We did it in spring finals, we did it in the regular season in summer, we can do it again.
The fact that we are like 2 times in finals and once in semi-finals, there's just more hunger. Regardless of how our regular split looks, regardless of how sometimes we play, we are the team that is supposed to win, and I think we are able to do it. And I think that both finals could be won, but it was not enough, so I just want this time around to be enough.
It is a static shot on the back of Rogue.
Oh, Comp
and
triple.
Malrang is flying
He's hunting for it.
forward.
That's a
Flashing
quadra.
Quadra. Comp looking for the pentakill.
The boomerang.
Unfortunate by some time. Pentakill!
They are a team that has made a lot of like kind of deep runs in playoffs throughout the years. They've never quite managed to actually win it though, and I don't think this one would be the chance either.
Caps stay in. Caps just like that scoops up 3.
I just want to keep going in order to show that we are there to win. We're not there to just get to Worlds and do nothing more than that. I just want to win.
Welcome everyone to the LEC Summer Playoffs Kings match between G2 Esports and Rogue. As you see, Rogue arriving, Comp is in the zone, he's got his in-ears in, he's got his sunglasses on, and I can see the G2 and Rogue fans already. But I know that G2 specifically, as they arrived in their awesome cards, were greeted by the fans. There we go. It's been the same every week, actually. So they definitely have a lot of ride or die fans who make the trek to the studio and who love Jankos. And Pluck It Scion, baby. Apparently. Awesome. Maybe we'll see that today. I'm joined here by Treats and by Goldberg to talk about our Kings match. A quick one yesterday. Treats?
It was a quick one. I mean, there was some good games, right? The game 2 was super back and forth. I think Fnatic obviously looked very clean as well on the day, and I think that very deserved to go to Worlds with that performance.
Yeah, GB.
Yeah, we talk about lower bracket ramp up before, right? Fnatic's done it before. This time around, it was not a 3-2, it's just a straight up 3-0. So it looked way scarier than what we saw in regular season.
They did, so let's see if the sky is the limit for Fnatic. Now, we wanted to do something different to sum up the summer playoffs so far. So how about we look back at the rap cypher and see what aged well and what maybe backfired a little bit in our that did not age well? Let's take a look at the first clip.
Lyrical, physical, and mental skill. You're just cutting your teeth, you're like a dentist drill. Now I'm really getting 10 centimeters. Not polyamorous, but then again, I will take all 5 of you out.
Such a solid edit.
Such a great edit, actually. Yeah, I mean, he was right, not only in that Rogue would not stress out, but also the fact that they got a pentakill. So that's actually an insane prediction.
It looked a little bit stressed, but either way, towards that game 5, they were able to pull it out. So I think Rogue for sure ramping up, and you know, you can talk about chokers, but certainly not in the upper bracket when they had it there.
No, and it was a game 5, right? So
yeah, like Comp Silver is just a pentakill machine, no? He has 2 pentakills now. Yeah, I mean, maybe he'll get one more today, who knows?
Yeah, he knows how to push his buttons on Sivir. Comp does. Maybe we will see it today. Let's take a look at the next one.
Larson getting shit on, hope he's good at ingesting. Finally, your games are interesting. Suck so bad, might as well be a maneuver. Shurima shuffle, you need a Heimlich maneuver.
The tower is falling. They're going for Nexus.
They absolutely did not choke, actually, the inverse. I hope for the Mad Lion's sake that the same thing doesn't happen that happened last time when I was part of their rap for 2020 summer, and then they didn't win, but they did win 2 the year after. But yeah, I don't
No
want to
cursing, no shocks, curses,
No,
please.
but they're in the lower bracket treat, so what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think they still have a good shot, right? It's just one best of 5, and they're locked for Worlds, so I think that some pressure is relieved from them, and now they're looking towards the trophy, and obviously they have to play better than in the Rogue series, but I think they have a lot left in the tank.
Yeah, and I mean, they got that Heimlich maneuver. That's why they didn't choke. You set that up yourself, so I mean, that's really on you.
No, that's actually true. I did give them the key to success. Let's take a look at our next bar.
Fnatic looking bland, super team suck, don't you fucking understand? Upsec on a choke, got to call the referee. Force hack won't save you when we ban Zeri. Call me a spreadsheet boy, whole team erase. Time to lose control, it's find and replace. I've got an equation that you should embrace. Your L plus this ratio equals disgrace.
The cannon minion gonna be clean out. Wonder trying to step forward, but Patrick's doing exactly the same. The knockdown.
Patrick's in! Wonder! What's happening?
Wonder!
Ah, so close yet so far for Excel, man.
It certainly was a banger of a game, though.
True, true.
What a series to have witnessed, but yeah, unfortunately not able to keep it going then. It really looked like they were finally going to do it when they started 2-0, but then like Ray showed, reverse swept, yeah, it's kind of the same, no?
I wonder if we're going to look at, maybe Fnatic does end up in the final or whatnot, and then we're going to look at that barrel specifically treats as kind of the spark
Yeah,
that
the
lit the
tipping
run.
point, yeah, for sure. I mean, I think Wunder was getting ratio the entire series, but he turned it around and L the opposition, right? And I think that was what they needed, and it was a good play.
Yeah. Next up, about Fnatic, I think.
Ace, don't resist, your legacy ends here. No one can stop me, this is Fnatic's year. Let's be clear, I'm the best, no contest, it's a given. Feel the noose, strange your next, not to sweat. Losing vision as you cry, you just fight like hobbits for a ring. When the fans only need the return of the king.
And for the 10th time in their history, Fnatic will lock Worlds and knock Misfits out of the playoffs and the LEC.
Shout out to our video team for those transitions as well. But yeah, I think it kind of sums it all up, right?
Yeah.
You're fighting for Hobbits for the ring, but it's the return of the
Yeah,
king.
it does. I mean, I think Fnatic looked really solid, right? They had only game 2 was a bit shaky.
Yesterday, you mean?
Yeah, exactly, yesterday. And I think that, they can definitely do some more work in these playoffs.
And they're back at Worlds, so for the
Exactly.
fans and Yamato, that's probably... Oh, what's this? Oh, you may not know this, GB, because you're from Denmark, but this is actually the Swedish national anthem. And
wow.
You need to give us a Swedish fun fact, basically.
So next year, red and white, right? Okay, so yeah, Denmark, did you know that if you're in Copenhagen, you want to go to Malmö, it's only a 20-minute train ride, so... I'm just saying, you don't have to be Swedish to go. My countrymen, we like brothers, sisters, all of you, we can still go. This time, 20 minutes.
Good to know that you don't have to be Swedish to go. Yes,
that's the Swedish fun fact.
Sunday is sold out, but Saturday, you can still get tickets for Saturday. And then as said, you can just take the train and head over. So there we go. Let's take a look at the bracket now as we are feeding into that awesome weekend in Malmö. We will have the Kings match today, G2 versus Rogue. And whoever wins today has a guaranteed spot in those summer finals and a spot in the World's group stage because they will end in spots 1 or 2 for the playoffs.
Yeah, so first off, it was iconic that these are the teams we're sending, right? But moving on towards the Rogue versus G2, I think seeing G2 up there, a lot of people probably predicted that when they saw the Misfits, but for Rogue, the big one for me is the consistency that they managed to have, at least in terms of keeping the pressure low and take that final 5th game against Mad Lion, really deserving their victory towards making it up towards the upper Kings match we have now.
Yeah, exactly. I think that they come from a lot of confidence now as well, right? I think they're super hungry to get the LEC title, and both these teams have been very consistent, I think, throughout the entire season. G2 started a bit slow, but now I think they've ramped up towards playoffs, and I think it will be a very spicy series.
I mean, doubt for consistency. I mean, I seem to remember that Rogue sometimes, they let it hang a little bit. Same for G2.
It's true. That's why I changed it a little bit.
Yeah, ramping up for sure. I agree with you on that. Yeah, in terms of what you just said, in terms of kind of the motivation, we had a chat with Odawamne and Larson and talked about kind of Worlds and Worlds qualification and performance versus the race for the title, and they are super, super hungry. I think on the other side, you have a G2 GB who might think, okay, well, after MSI, we really want to perform at Worlds, and well, we have a couple of trophies already.
It's two different kinds of pressures that these players are currently experiencing, right? If you're G2, it's the pressure that, well, we're on almost synonymous with getting that title, and we have to get it. It's a standard going to Worlds, having that LEC title on us. And for Rogue, it's the hunger that, well, we've never had it before, and I know we say that a lot, but it's just also because it, unfortunately for them, happens a lot that they don't get that title when they make it to finals. So yes, for Rogue, as you said, like, these players are hungry, and they just want to get it done finally.
But it is the Kings match, so hopefully this will mean that we will see a great level of play, of course, for Odoamne and Larsen specifically, who could win it on home soil. There's just so much going into this starting today in the Kings match. And speaking of Odoamne, the man himself aiming for his 3rd finals in the past 4 seasons is now standing by with Lore. Take it away.
Thank you, Sharks. Odo, thank you for joining me ahead of your game. The desk was just talking about you and Larsen still chasing an LEC trophy and that with hunger there may be pressure coming. What do you feel about this statement?
I wouldn't really say it's pressure. I don't think we're thinking of our past failures because, yeah, I mean, we got reverse swept by Mad and then we lost to G2 last time. But I don't know, every single time we made finals, it wasn't really something that was for granted, you know? It's not like a pedigree or like a stamp on, our past achievements or whatever. So for us, it doesn't really matter. I feel like it's more of a thing that like the public cares about because, I don't know. At least for me and Larsen, it's just the narrative now for, at least from like what I see from public perception is that we're making finals, and we're losing, and that's kind of like our fate, I guess. But I don't know. We don't really care, I think, because I don't know. It's what makes you get to a final and winning it is is not something that happens. If it happened once, it's gonna keep happening.
You talk about fate, and I know as much as it's a meme, I want to ask what kept your motivation up throughout all these years and the ability to bounce back even though finals was just not the right one?
I mean, for me, it was always about, the competition. For me, it was never, about, making finals or winning the trophy and stuff. Up until this point, it was always just, my passion for, just competing against everyone was kind of like my main driving factor. Obviously, when I got the taste of the final and then I lost it, I got reverse swept in my first one. I was like, yeah, that kind of sucked big time. So yeah, I mean, every time something like this happens, it's back to square one for me. Just as I said 2 minutes ago, I don't take it for granted, because it could easily be my last finals ever, and I have to just keep on doing what I'm doing and just enjoy competing.
Hopefully not, regarding what you just said. And you're playing for the next finals, actually, today. When you think about Rogue and the improvements you made throughout summer, what defines you as a team right now?
I'm not really sure. I think throughout summer we struggled a lot with, even though we're not really a new team, I think whenever there was like a meta shift, we struggled for a while with kind of finding our identity. And I think our last couple of weeks in regular season, even in like playoffs, were a bit shaky. So I don't know. I might give like a negative answer, but I don't know. We've always been kind of like slow to adapt, But I feel like we kind of maybe figured it out for this playoffs, and we have a better chance than before. So yeah, we will see.
I don't think there's anything negative about being reflective, but let's turn to the other side of the table, G2. You know this matchup, rematch of the spring finals. Let's not dive into how it went, but what's your understanding of G2 as of now?
I mean, they're quite similar to us. They play through mid a lot, as we do. It's just that they kind of go to my side of the map, and my team goes away from my side of the map. So it's a bit unlucky in that department. But I don't know. I think we're quite similar. Maybe they have, they're a bit more individualistic than we are. We're kind of more relying on, the team play aspect and everyone kind of being coordinated and on the same page. While I feel like they have the ability to freestyle a bit more. So I think it's quite a balanced matchup, even though last time we got 3-0'd in the final, and the split we lost 2 times as well. But I mean, we'll see today.
The past is the past. Should make for a banger series today, though, Odo. Thank you so much for joining me for this interview. Good luck against G2. And we'll stay on the topic of style and talk about the jungle right now with GB and Schwitz. Take it away, guys.
Yes, thank you, Lore. And yes, we're going to talk about the jungle a bit. And I want to just dive in against GB here and just talk about what does Rogue do well when they have good early games, right? I think a lot of it comes down to Malorang especially. And when he has a solid early game, he just ganks everywhere, to be honest. Like, I'll start this clip off with him ganking mid lane, putting Niski on the back foot here and burning his flash. I think this could have been played a bit better and they could have killed him as well. But it's no problem. Malorang knows that Niski has no flash now, so he clears some camps. But he's always thinking about the next aggressive move in the lanes. I think Rogue as a team, when they have very much CC on their laners, so in this case they have Sylas and Renekton, right? They always look for these plays in the lane with Malrang. So I think here's another play which I think should have worked. If Larssen hits this E on Niski, I think he would have died again. But still no worries, they're putting a lot of pressure on the map, right? And then where does Malrang go after? Well, he walks towards the top side. Mad think that he will go to his camps because, as you can see, they're about to spawn. But Malrang doesn't think like this. He thinks, where can I gank? I'm not gonna farm my camps. I will just go for the ganks instead. So he sneaks past here, sneaks past Elyoya on his way to top lane here. Unspotted, right? He's going up towards the top side. He's a good aggressive player, I will give him that. Burns another flash. Now he knows I have 2 camps on top side. No flashes, both soul laners. I won't clear both camps, I'll just take 1. And I'll go towards the top after as well, right? Goes for the armored play here. Works out with Odoamne's flash. They get first blood. Malrang has ganked 4 times in what, 3 minutes? Burned 2 flashes. I like it. This is what I like to see from Rogue, and I think they have to do this to win today.
And I agree with you. I generally think you're right. When Malrang gets on the edge of really the gameplay and getting all the early game going for him, it's super scary to play against Rogue. But I'll throw you over here and I take your spot now, and then I'll start being the one drawing, because like you brought a clip, I brought a clip to the show and tell as well today, and I hope this is the right one. It is, because you have another early game coming through from Rogue, and a lot of you have probably watched this already from when they played their series against Mad rather, because this is when they can't get that early game going for them. This is when Malrang is pushed out of the jungle. So what happens right here is the fact that enemy bot lane has Kalista, you have Jim Yumi, you just don't get pushed, and because of that, they can't come to stabilize. In the mid lane as well, you have a Victor into a Sylas, and Larssen, he likes getting the lead in the early game, right? And Malrang is really just there to facilitate the laners and not always the other way around. Which can be a problem when this is the scenario then in opt-in, because then he's suddenly forced to still path down towards bot lane. Elyoya is owning all of his bot side. Bot lane once again is crashing a wave. Because of that, Combo will be forced to step off, and if he steps off he's going to be losing so much experience, he's going to be losing gold. Because of that, Malrang has to come in to be that facilitator, as he quite often is, but doesn't dodge out on the poppy stun with the flash, and all of a sudden, the bot lane is just going to be a bit more doomed. And all of a sudden, Rogue doesn't get that good early game that you so often talk about. Why is that a problem? When they're obviously not playing against Mad Lions today, then why should they care about that against G2? Well, I show you when we go to the next clip right here. Because what does Jankos do as well? Well, he likes to go for these late invades every now and then. So you see it on the Nocturne as well, in the same exact kind of clip where you late invade on the enemy jungle, you force out the flash from Sansara, who's, by the way, also a facilitating jungler. And what's really important is that one ward over here while Sansara is clearing his blue side. He can't currently go down towards the bot side because he's actually expecting that Jankos is going to be taking his red side, because usually you go red, and then you can kind of just don't lose out on your jungle. But because Sansara is moving around and he's spotted on vision, he doesn't have that flash any longer. He's missed the Q. He's set up. Jankos comes around to secure it. And this is why G2 against Rogue today might actually be stylistically for the early game really good. So, like, the big question I have for Rogue is just like, they need to have fixed these issues, because they haven't fixed these issues. They might be struggling today.
I can see it. I can see it.
Devil's advocate. In your first clip, Treats, and actually a lot of your clips, you said, oh, well, if they hit this, and if they hit this, and if they hit this, that's 3 kills instead of just 2 flashes and 1 kill. I wonder if the difference also lies in how, obviously, it's all about who executes the best, right? But that seems to be at play as well, specifically in where Jankos was playing Rogue.
I mean, for sure, right? And it will always come down to that on the day. One thing can be nerves, and one thing as well can be the pressure that Rogue might be feeling going up against D2, because there is former demons in this matchup, of course, but I hope for Rogue's sake and for the viewer's sake as well that they are showing up and they are hitting these plays today, because then we will have a really exciting match.
And I liked what Odoamne said about it also, in terms of we don't listen to all that, we don't think about what happened in the past, it's about the here and now. So let's talk about the here and now. About Larssen in the mid lane. Goldberg, in, I think, conjunction with what you just showed us, you dove into how much time he likes to spend in lane versus roaming.
Yeah, so that's the thing as well. Larssen, in the first 8 minutes of the game, is the mid laner that spends the most in lane out of playoffs. And I think that goes down to the very clear style they have, that when enemy mid laner roams, Larssen likes to still be in the mid lane, get plating for himself, get an experience lead, and then he will become the late game monster we've so often seen. But that in conjunction then leaves Malrang open, because he is not getting facilitated by laners, they're not there to defend him, and that in the end is just the style style of Rogue that we can expect. And I think for Larssen, might have to adapt that a little bit going into the early game, because if Mauron keeps getting pushed out, they might struggle.
Paint the picture then for me, because I also see that Caps, of course, is in a similar boat. In fact, second in terms of the time he spends in his lane in those early stages. So how does that work for G2?
Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting because you don't think of Caps as this player who stays in lane. You think of him as running around, right, killing people in enemy jungle. So I think it's interesting to see those stats, but at the same time, Caps likes to find the enemy jungle with Jankos, right? I think Malrang is more so helping out his laners by himself, and his laners just getting a farm lead for themselves. So I think it's definitely a slight stylistic difference, but the stats are very interesting to look at as well.
And when it comes to... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's also what's happening in lane, right? The solo kills coming through, like you expect a lot of individual prowess just from Caps by himself.
Yep.
And just to hone on what Treats was saying as well, when Larssen is finally roaming around the map, because when you saw those 14-minute mark, he is actually out on the map. It's more to set up dive for the other laners, right? But when Caps is moving in conjunction, it's more just like making plays with Jankos, as you're saying, finding the enemy jungler and finding a lead against him instead of not always going for the laners, perhaps.
And when it comes to individual performance, I think Caps can be very happy with the playoffs so far, right? I think of those Azir Shurima shuffles, for instance, in particular, but it is a peculiar thing, right, Treats, that whenever you go against this guy in the playoffs or whenever stakes are at stake, no pun intended, he goes crazy.
Yeah, I mean, Caps playoffs is just, he's just too good, man. Like, it just doesn't matter what champ he's on. I think he's comfortable on every champ in the game, it feels like. So he's just a massive performer on playoffs, to be honest, and especially in front of the crowd.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a man that is in playoffs form. You can't say that this is currently not the best mid laner there is, because he is. And I think he's proven that again and again, and especially he agrees.
Yeah.
He agrees with me. He knows what's coming up
well.
here.
Awesome, playing with the camera, of course. We got a little bit of insight into G2 last week in PGL, because after their win versus Misfits, Flacket and Targamas talked us through G2's food chain. Let's listen.
For support, I think it's, people can say it's easier to play, right? I also think in the team we have kind of this meme of like the food chain.
The food chain, yeah.
The food chain, yeah. The food chain, and support usually at the bottom of the food chain, so you need to be careful about not dying, especially when you play those champs like Lulu. You can see a difference when there's a Lulu that just keeps getting caught, and then when there's a Lulu that's zero death, and that's always reliable.
So you have to look at different things. And what's the easiest? What's also in the bottom of the food chain then?
I mean, usually it's bot lane.
Yeah,
but it
goes legit like top jungle, mid, AD support. Yeah. Top inventor of the food chain.
The top of the food chain.
Top is the inventor of the food chain. Is the creator of the food chain.
Is this because of the... Well, in your team, the priority that BB gets in terms of his picks and stuff?
No, it's based on solo.
Yeah, based on solo queue, based on competitive, based
Rox
on
also
everything.
said that he found top the easiest role.
Yeah, like top laners, they complain that the role is like uses so cringe, so broken.
cringe.
I see Gwen. I
That's
choke.
why you play things that they also play in top just...
Yeah, I mean, that's why I play Yasuo, right? You can play top lane, which means mega broken. And for example, you can go if you want a field stop, but it's not gonna bang. You can play Yasuo, bot lane, bangs, Yone, bangs, every top lane, yeah. Ornn, Sion, mega bangs. Yeah. But then you play AD top lane, oh, jungle top, Thatch, food chain. It's food chain. It's food chain. It's a food chain.
Well then, the food chain explained. There are the maestros, I guess. You might say, oh, why are you showing that to us? Well, it's because it's entertaining, but also because it leads us perfectly into a discussion about how G2 like to draft. I also noticed that I interpreted things falsely, because it's not because they're at the top of the food chain that they're good. In fact, it's because their role is easy. Seemingly, that's what they were trying to get at when they were talking about
Well,
top
I
lane.
also think it's due to the personalities in that team, right?
Maybe.
You have the top father of BB in the top lane who's kind of dictating it, and I feel like they're one of the few teams that loves to put resources in the top lane as well.
let's dive into that and contrast that to Rogue as well. We can maybe call up the drafts that we saw from G2 versus Misfits, which had different styles. So how much does it still ring true then that they play and pick towards top?
I mean, I think it's kind of true and somewhat not kind of true. I think that the bot lane has a lot of flexibility, so they're willing to adapt to the game, right? They can play the scaling side, they can play the early game style. I think they have both under lock and key, and I think that in general, BB does get more resources for the team, right? I think he is the top king, he is on top of the food chain, but I think he's also willing to play stuff like the Sejuani, right?
But what I would really love to highlight with these three different comps coming through as well is that how they function are quite different, right? You take a look at the first one, and if you recall how that game played out, that was all about the mid jungle. Caps and Jankos was roaming around, and I believe for the first 20 minutes had 100% KP in that game. So that was all about the mid jungle. You take the next game, then it's all about the mid lane and the Kalista, where, I mean, obviously Caps pop off in the Seer, but in the Kalista, it's also a lane where you play for him down towards the bot lane. You want to put resources here, and you have Broken Blade on the weak side on the Sejuani. Then in the last game that you have, then it's all about the early aggression you get from your solo laners. You put in the Gwen, you put the Renekton mid. If you push your enemies out of the early game, you just kind of take the game from there. So I think what makes this really scary from G2 is the fact that in these three different games, they brought out 3 different playstyles.
In terms of the depth you need to have to survive these best of 5s and possibly the deciding game 5 streets, that's really great to have in your back pocket. How did G2 match up against Rogue, and how does Rogue specifically handle that depth, and do they have similar depth?
Yeah, I mean, I think BB said it as well, right? Comp is the main carry for Rogue, and I think that in general, when Rogue does well, it's through comp. I think that they also do have a lot of flexibility, though. I think that Odoamne has played the Renekton. He plays obviously a lot of Ornn, so I do think both teams.
Ornn and Renekton, baby.
And Sejuani, yeah, that's the dangerous trio right now.
Flexibility.
Exactly. Through the roof.
I agree with Treats as well. It's not that they can't do that, but quite often when we see the playstyle of Rogue as well, all their firepower will quite often rely on calm down in that bot side, Larsen to follow up in the mid lane, and then the rest of them are kind of facilitators. Trimpy as well on support has brought out weird and wacky stuff too, but most of the time you can expect that comp will be that catalyst that you're relying on.
The catalyst with the set ADCs, of course, but we saw specifically in that bot lane that they're willing to push the envelope. The Caitlyn Lux comes to mind. Yep. Malrang and his pick sometimes come to mind. When he gets banned out in a phase of summer, I guess teams were like, no, we just don't want you to play your most picked champion, so he would go for a Jarvan. So there is relative depth there, I would say, but a lot also in the bot lane.
Yeah, I mean, I specifically think that Jarvan will be targeted out as well in the ban phase, but obviously moving on to those bot laners, it's 2 different bot lanes we have in the way that they approach it, because like you saw the bot lane picks coming out from Flacket and Tarkamas. I think Flacket shows a lot of versatilities on champions that aren't necessarily the AD carry, like the Yasuo that we see. The same can be said for Tarkamas, that of course also have the Pike in the toolkit, but then you see the fact that they want to play the Ashe, the Tahm Kench with the Kalista. But on the opposite end, I think Trimpy has some weird, wacky picks coming through. Sejuani supports some of the bot lane picks you see here as well. The Caitlyn Lux, super good at just playing for that 2v2 in the bot lane.
Yeah, I think the difference for me is that most of the times Rogue play more for lane, and G2 kind of fills whatever the comp needs, right? Sometimes they need a Kalista Tahm Kench, sometimes they want an Ashe for more range control. So I think that G2's bot lane is more flexible for the team comp, whereas Rogue bot lane definitely wants to smash you in lane.
So is that a situation in which, if you're now Rogue, seemingly what meets the eye is that you obviously play around bot a lot, so do the margins that they have to build in for themselves have to be pretty big, knowing that G2 will attack them on several fronts?
I think they will, but it also depends on the playstyle coming through from G2, because if they play top and Rogue plays bot, then automatically the G2 bot lane will be on the back foot. I think to paint the picture, seeing Rogue play today, you can expect them to put a lot of resources in the bot side. Of course, they could put such a Renekton on the top side, try to play for top, but I generally speaking think that bot lane is what it's going to be about and the difference maker that Rogue might have in today's series.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think in general as well, it will be interesting to see what they do with the picks. I think Sivir and Zeri have been picked almost permanently right throughout playoffs, and I think that these 2 teams are teams that are willing to give them and trade for a really aggressive option like the Kalista, like the Draven for Flacket, etc. So I think there's a lot of different options, and we'll just have to see in the first game what they decide to do.
Yes, so let's get our predictions on board then. Goldborg, who is going straight to the final today?
So this is going to sound weird because I'm saying one thing and then another thing is going to appear.
Oh God, you're already making excuses and you haven't even said it.
Well, I've worked with you long enough, Ify. I know where this is going. So I actually think it's going to be a 3-1 for G2. I think that on the day when they show up in a best of 5, and historically speaking against Rogue, they have just been on the mark. I think Rogue, if they come in on the best day, will make today's series incredibly close. But me personally, I'm just counting on G2 to have that edge today and make it a 3-1.
So you're thinking the chance that Rogue goes above and beyond is a bit slimmer then? Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Goldberg, Treats rather, what do you think?
I mean, I also think it will be a close series today. I think G2 has just so many different ways that they can win the game, in my opinion. So I feel it's very hard to bet against G2. So I have a 3-2 for them today. I hope it goes to 5 games, because I do think that Rogue also have a lot of strength to come into the series. And yeah, I think it will be a banger.
Let's hope it's an absolute banger. Let's check in with Discord as well. What are they saying? Oh God, they just
wow,
straight up 3-0 G2. Broken Blade feels the same. Thank you so much for this wonderful introduction into the best of 5, and hopefully the spicy picks we will see and the play. G2 versus Rogue. Which team will lock their spot in the grand finals? We've got Medi Vedi and Kadril. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Shox. It's Medi, Betty, and Mark. We have been here before, and I'm looking forward to bringing you this series today.
We
The
have a
King's
Spark.
match. We have a Spark.
Spark. Mark.
Spark.
Trying to get some bars. Betty was rhyming before. We just rhyme
He's
skis.
just He's just freestyling. Yeah.
It's a super serious series.
Yeah,
You start off with that.
He's just like, I'm freestyling. What's up, everyone? We're for a banger series. We've already had many bangers here in the LEC. I'm sure we're guaranteed another one today. Bit of a rivalry between G2 and Rogue. These two organizations have met multiple times, often in the upper bracket, sometimes in the finals. Often there's a lot on the line. Both of these teams are looking to secure a top 2 seed and an auto buy into the group stage at the World Championship, a guaranteed spot in the finals at Malmo, and basically an increased likelihood of winning the whole damn thing.
Definitely is. We'll see who their competitor will be in the finals. Of course, other teams have looked good. Fnatic on the rise. Mad Lions on the fall. We'll see them tomorrow. But again, yeah, this match just so important that stamping yourself in those group stages.
And obviously, it all comes down to draft in all of these games and how these teams decide to play around each other. G2 are on the blue side to kick us off today as we hear the music building up for our first draft of what is hopefully 5 today. Strong contingent of G2 fans in the crowd. I will say, as I always say when we have a bunch of fans in the crowd, some more inventive chants. You know, Flathead's on fire, your defense is terrified, things like this. You know, bring something new out.
Yeah.
Apart from just the let's go G2, which does work. You know, it's a solid one.
Yeah. We'll see if there's any creative ones.
Whereas NA is sus, I think is what he's going for.
NA is sus. That's a pretty good one. So, G2 on the blue side have banned away Lucian, now targeting Comp and Trimmy, of course. G2 overall in their playoffs games have normally banned Poppy, Trundle, Yuumi. Those are the kind of bans they've always been leaning towards. We'll see if that's the case today or if they are willing to first pick things like Yuumi.
What will happen with Kalista? Will Rogue choose to remove it, or will they in fact leave it open? We've seen a lot of priority on things like the Sivir, the Zeri with the cat banned away. Lulu suddenly increases in priority. I wonder if G2 will look to remove that. Of course, Sejuani is something we saw a lot, well, so far in playoffs. Often as a high prio pick, either as a blind because you can flex it both into top and jungle. The Kalista now being removed by G2 suggests that they are looking at something like a potential Sivir early rotation.
Yeah, I think G2 should be a little bit hesitant of the Sivir because Malrang will slam a Jarvan on 1-2, and I think that's something that Misfits was doing. They were banning away Jarvan on blue side for that first pick, and with Trundle being down, that opens up Jarvan a little bit more. We'll see what G2 first pick, though. Could go for a maybe...
Has to be a Sejuani here,
yeah,
surely.
Sejuani. Azir as well.
Oh,
another super powerful pick on this patch, really highly contested. It's going to be Caps' Azir locked in. We'll see if Larson wants to go for some kind of Ahri into it, or a Sylas. We'll see on 3 perhaps. They can pick up their bot lane here.
It also makes sense to take it away from Larson, right? It is one of his best champions. It's something he's incredibly comfortable on.
Yeah.
And denying it away from him makes a lot of sense. Mad consistently banned that champion away. But we talked about the Lulu. There it is, going to be locked in for Rogue. Now they can set themselves up for success with both the Zeri and the Sivir. Both complement the Lulu very, very well, which means that Rogue will have a very standard, very meta front-to-back teamfight comp already.
I wonder if they'll go for some kind of Renata here into the Lulu. I'm not so sure, because with Yuumi being down, normally you see this as the trade-off. What tends to happen is you pick Zeri on 1-2, you expect the Lulu on 3, then you take it away. But we've seen G2 Senna already, and it was a Senna Yasuo that came out. Now, I believe the Yasuo is a pick into Sivir.
Yes.
And Rogue smartly here have not picked their AD carry on purpose, knowing that if they do pick Yasuo, they can change up the AD carry pick.
Leaving that as an option for them. Of course, we have seen lots of different iterations of the center bot lane. So Seraphine, also something that has come to the fore. We saw a lot of Seraphine actually over in NA recently as well. So perhaps G2 are eyeing up that one. Instead, they'll take the Jarvan away from Malrang. He played that 4 times last week against Mad Lions. Has only played Trundle alongside that in playoffs.
You can see the Sivir mind game, right? Rogue don't want to first rotate it because they want to play Jarvan into it, perhaps keep the Sejuani flex alive. G2 don't want to blind Sivir either because they're going to go for a Senna, but they pre-pick a Jarvan, saying to Rogue, if you play Sivir, we'll have Jarvan into it, right? Does Rogue now pivot and go for something different here? Zeri again is open. Might be just the go-to with the dash to get out that Jarvan ult to make the champ overall slightly weaker.
Well, I think Rogue can also now look to ban away the Yasuo if they're still concerned about it. Of course, G2, the expectation is that they will look to ban away junglers now. Likely remove things such as the Wukong. We didn't see much Wukong yesterday, for example, but we do know that these teams are more than happy to play it. Vi is also a strong contention for something that you might want to take off the board.
I think G2 are crazy not to ban away Renekton if you imagine just a Renekton on 4 here, which can be flexed to mid and top, and it's so well with, it works so well with Sejuani. We saw Odo in their series against Mad. He played 3 games of Renekton, so they know it's comfort with the Ornband coming through. They're denying team fights, so I think G2 needs to be wary of that top lane pick unless Broken Blade has some kind of counter to it.
The Ornn? I was going to say, the Ornn suggests to me that the Sejuani is likely going to go into the top lane, but of course, that ability to flex it is, well, it's a very powerful tool, and Rogue can kind of do whatever they want depending on how the draft rounds out for G2 here. Sylas taken off the board from G2. Their focus seems to be on some of the answers that Larssen could go for to try and shut down this here.
Yeah, and I feel like they're banning away mobility mids that are good into Jarvan as well, right? Sylas is one of them, Ahri is another, LeBlanc is another, but that's 3 picks. So I feel like it's a bit difficult to pinch that mid lane pool to stop mobility coming out of Larssen. It will be inevitable. And I wonder if they are going to ban away the Renekton on 4 here. If Rogue's even going to prioritize, I'd be so very surprised if they didn't. There's the Yasuo ban to cover off the Senna. We're just still waiting to see where this Senna will go. We're expecting Senna Tom. There's the Ahri ban. Could expect Senna Seraphine as well, like we talked about.
So what direction does Larssen go in now? Because typically, we could see something like a Corki or a Victor, traditional kind of scaling mage matchup. Does he have something else prepared, given that Sylas and Ahri are removed?
Akali could be good with the Sejuani.
Does he play Akali?
There's the Renekton. I think it's just a no-brainer. I'm very surprised that G2 didn't just ban it. I mean, there's so many mobility mids that you can't shut them all down. But it looks like G2 are aware of it. They should be if they watched the series against Mad, and I'm sure they did. So Broken Blade must have a pick into this, and it's going to be the Aatrox. Double melee top side of the mid jungle. That's going to be their answer into this Renekton Sejuani.
And now we get to see how G2 round out their bottom lane. Of course, assuming that Jarvan's going to the jungle. We have seen Jarvan support in the past, but it's been a long time since that was brought out, and often teamed up with something like a Kalista. And Targan was just trolling us a little bit there with the Lehen's shout out.
Oh, is it Black and Sion, baby?
No, instead, Swain, Sion, set, Tarek. Where are we going?
What are we doing? It's a
Seraphine. They're going to do Senna Seraphine. I like this a little bit more than compared to other Seraphine bot lanes that we have been seeing, just because I think that it gives you that AD carry, that range, that strong scaling AD damage that you have in the late game as well, which means that you should be able to match the Zeri later on into the game. Of course, Zeri is a little bit of an unrivaled monster when it comes to late game team fights, but how will Rogue now round out their draft?
Are they going to flex the Renekton mid? It looks like they're hovering for a Gwen into the Aatrox. No, they're just going to go for the Talia to actually pressure those sides. Talia Renekton so powerful on the 3-man setup towards top side. G2's comp is very strong at front to backs. You have Senna Seraphine with an Aatrox. You know Aatrox Yuumi can tear up a team fight. Senna Seraphine Aatrox can do basically the exact same thing. So I'd be very scared of for Rogue if they don't have enough DPS to actually kill that Aatrox, or they can't find flanks onto this Senna Seraphine. Top side will be Rogue's focus. G2 need to match it. I think bot lane will be more so farming central.
What an interesting matchup. Obviously, team fights are very prevalent in the current meta. I think it's a large part of why we've been seeing so many close series throughout the world, the 3-2s, because a lot of games are decided by individual prowess, who can make that outplay, who ends up outscaling who, how do you execute upon those team fights. And I feel like we're going to get to see some very exciting team fights already here in Game 1.
Definitely, and just going back to early games again, the only person who can shake these early games up is Jankos on the Jarvan. Maybe just a cheeky level 2 gank bot after a buff, maybe late invade towards the other side of the map after a buff, you know, do a red to blue or something along those lines. But other than that, if it's stock standard, Rogue should have the stronger 3v3s and 2v2s in the early stages. They should have a little bit more push to work with, but G2 scaling, definitely something to keep in consideration.
Quintessentially Rogue, having Cryo in the lanes, winning through the laning phase. G2 have been able to upset that apple cart a few times over the last few years. Of course, last time these teams met with finals of spring, and G2 demolished Rogue in a 3-0 sweep. I'm sure Rogue want a little bit of vengeance, want a little bit of payback for that. Game 1 on its way though, Rogue versus G2. Let's get into it.
You guys think there's some G2 fans here today?
Yeah, I can hear them.
I can hear one or two.
It's like a gnat buzzing beside
A lot of support for G2 today. And they might need it. Of course, Rogue looking quite strong. We expected them to lose to Mad. A lot of people put Mad as the favorites, but they came out swinging in the 5-game series. Very close indeed. There was games where Rogue were down 3-4k gold, still came back with good team fighting, good picks, good punishing of mistakes. And we saw there Odoamne just killing out Jankos' ward, so that'll help him get level 2 on the first wave. Jankos can go over to red. I think the only real cheeky thing Jankos can do here is red into bot or red EQ over and go to blue. But I'm just going to highlight one thing that I think was quite smart by Rogue here. They just put a ward in the middle of the river, so that just makes it
Jarvan.
so... The classic Jarvan ward is what you could call it, or the Kindred ward, or old school Camille jungle ward, where they do buff into buff, and you need to be able to see them doing it.
Because they can go over the wall, right? They can circumvent the more traditional wards. And
exactly.
This basically becomes the standard ward when playing against these champions. So Rogue are very adept at, or rather aware and have experienced this before. Comp can drop that sweeper to clear out some of the vision that might be in the bot side river, but it does look like Malrang pathing up towards the top side of the map. You already talked about it, Kadril. Idea behind Rogue's early game should be to play towards the top side of the map to try and make stuff happen around this Renekton, to try and get this Renekton ahead in the early game. Jankos, for the time being, looking to mimic and mirror Malrang's path.
Yeah, he's just going to have to cover, basically. I don't think they're ever going to really win a 2v2 straight up. Sejuani Renekton's really powerful, especially at 6, so they have to be very careful in how they pick and choose fights. There's the level up on the first wave that I think Broken Blade just got a little bit surprised by, because Odoamne got that ward. Does take a bit of a hefty trade, but manages to get one back onto Odo, and the only real way that G2 can win in these 2v2s topside is if maybe Jankos is in top rush, can EQ out to knock up Odo before Malrang arrives, so we'll keep our eyes on who gets the top first.
So you guys have had your 2 minutes of talking, you know, the initial build-up into the game. Can I do a play-by-play thing for a second?
As you like.
Okay, 1 second. I have to get it up. Here we go. Woo! 200 games for Larssen. Congratulations, 200 games in the LEC for Larssen. I wanted to give you guys the time to talk about the jungles and parts of it.
Celebration. He's been
a mid laner that's kind of, I still remember when he came in, it feels like he's quite new to the league, even though obviously he's now a stalwart of this league, one of our most consistent playoff reachers and one of our most consistent mid laners.
Yeah, I think it was 2019 summer when he came in, because I remember he had school during spring and was playing on the academy, and then they were a lot stronger in summer than they were in spring when they finished last place, and then massive bounce back.
I mean, there was so much hype around him coming into the league as well, especially when there was Humanoid that came in the year before.
Abadaga was there at the same time.
And it was kind of this, we had a lot of talented mid laners, and it's been really interesting tracking the generational mids that have come here into Europe. We'll see how he does in this series up against Caps, one of his long-time rivals now, and kind of a person that's often got in his way. Malrang level 4, hovering around the top side of the map. They should have seen that Scry's Bloom being popped. Jankos and Malrang will now meet face-to-face.
No EQ on the Jarvan, so Malrang seems pretty confident, but misses the Q and the
Everything is on cooldown.
Everything's on cooldown. It's just a stare down. Malrang didn't get that top crab because he went for a full clear, so now he knows he can backtrack to bot side to get a crab if he wants, so he's going to base and do so. Jankos there was just covering a dive in case Malrang was going for it on that stacked wave. Just looking for a little bit of vision, and Jankos crucially got that pink ward in his jungle.
So nothing too chaotic. Kind of everything going as we expected in the early game. Jankos pathing to protect his top side. Broken Blade struggling a little bit in the isolated 1v1 as you'd expect. Broken Blade should be able to outscale as the matchup goes further into the game. But pretty much a farm fest for game 1. Nothing too surprising given the compositions that we have. Both Caps, Larssen trading back and forth in mid, bot lane doing exactly the same. So that gives us an opportunity to talk a little bit about the history between G2 and Rogue, because for those that don't know, these two teams have played a number of times, and you can see it's a little G2 favorite.
Just ever so slightly, ever so slightly.
In the playoffs, though, is where things get a little bit more competitive, but overall, G2 have kind of had Rogue's number, and it was G2 that 3-0'd Rogue last split. It is G2 that is often getting in the way. Even back when Hansama was on this roster, I remember, I believe it was back in 2020, Rogue pushed G2 all the way to 5 games, and Rogue was looking incredibly strong to then have G2 that go on and then just 3-0 the final. It was a pretty incredible stuff from Rogue, and I think the organization has now become a mainstay at the top of Europe, but G2 as an organization has often gotten in their way and looks to do so once again today.
And the thing for Rogue is they have so consistently been near the top, they've just never quite made that final step. You look at it, third, second. Every summer, they end up third, or at least over the last couple of years. They want to try and break that trend this year. And for players like Odoamne as well, this guy's been in the league for absolutely yonks and has still yet to be able to claim an LEC title for himself.
Yeah, 2015, 2016, back on the H2K days, Odoamne, then Splice and all that good stuff. So been moving around Schalke. to a couple of teams, never really found that title, and he's looking for it this year. They managed to take down Mad, they've locked World Championship, they want to lock a spot in the finals as well. Caps.
Good knockback onto Caps there, can eat across and Q out as well. Manages to escape, it takes half his health for the pleasure of doing so.
Hurts the mana bar a lot though. Let's just look at mid lane for now. Larssen, no pots, yes, but basically full HP, full mana. Caps struggling a lot. He has a health potion to work with, but that mana bar is going to take up very slowly, so Larssen can just push these waves in as quick as he wants and then look to roam top, roam bot, maybe even take a base if he has this much tempo. Just needs to be very careful of Jankos, who's in the vicinity. See if Malrang tries to help Larssen on his waves or just go back to his camps for now as Jankos is on that pink.
Ping does come down from Larssen. Drop the control ward. Both mid and jungle will see each other.
Should fight this.
I think he's going to.
Knockback just wide. Yeah, because with a good sidestep, as you say.
Bit of a blunder from Rogue. They just lost 2 pinks in the top side of the river when they have this much mid push. I think Larssen was probably calling Malrang to fight this and stop him from being able to take that pink, but Malrang wants to finish his camp. So they managed to take Jankos' pink away, but they don't keep that vision that they do need if they want to keep up this mid push. Cap still struggling a lot in this lane, allows Malrang to run up to the top side.
Keep your eyes on what's happening on the map right now, because Caps doesn't have TP and needs to go back to base. They know that Jankos has cleared his top side because they saw him on those control wards, and now you've also got the Lulu on the roam. Larssen can push in this wave and actually look to set up a dive top. In fact, they may already go for it now.
And Broken Blade doesn't have TP, does have the flash to get out of this. The wave trying to stack up slowly. Trimby on his way up, no vision for Broken Blade, starts to back away. Malrang trying to cut him off at the pass as they would get a little bit of damage down, but Broken Blade, good little dodging to the side, will escape, and because Malrang's half HP, Broken Blade can step back forward.
But they might redive this because Trimby's here. They don't know that Targamas is here though, so he's matching support. This could go horribly wrong.
First stun onto Broken Blade. Oda1 slices away, has to flash away from the Q2, pulled back by the Infernal Chains though, and the chase is on. Targamas and Broken Blade trying to chase down Oda1 up towards the top side. No flash on the Croc, and first blood to G2. Larssen coming in with Weaver's Wall as they look for Broken Blade. No flash on him means this is a very difficult escape. Tries to get around. Malrang flashes over him to dodge the Q, and that will be a counter kill for Rogue.
In comes Jankos though, level 6. No flash on Malrang. He's on a ward. Does he want to commit here? Larssen's low on mana. Caps is pushing in mid. So there'll just be a 1-for-1. Really good response by Targamas. Read the map very well. Knows that Trimby's going to go for this roam, and Caps is freed up so much now. These up a wave. Will be able to push this next one in. Will get a plate, and G2 are on the Herald.
Yeah, what made this very awkward for Rogue was the moment that Oda1 commits underneath the tower and then decides to disengage, Trimby and Malrang run away from Oda1, which makes it very easy for Broken Blade and Targamas to then just commit onto Oda1, creating this numbers advantage. So you'll see here, as Oda1 engages and they recognize that Targamas is there and they no longer want to commit to the dive, Trimby actually backs away because he recognizes he'll put himself in melee range of Broken Blade, and that leaves Oda1 isolated. The only bright side here is that Larssen is able to quickly rotate from mid up towards the top side, and they're able to get a return kill.
They are indeed, but it's first blood to G2, first blood to Broken Blade, who is under so much pressure. It's a response from your Rogue, yes, onto Malrang, but look at your minimap. Caps just pushes in mid, who's struggling in the lane, has a 100 gold lead now, and they have the Herald in their pocket. G2 on the response, looking for a dive of their own.
Oda1, no ultimate for 5 seconds. Malrang trying to put the damage down here onto Jankos as well. Jankos flashes away because Larsen's on the way. Glacial Prism's going to connect Larssen with the knockback there as well. Cataclysm coming out from Jankos. He's low already though, and he might fall first. He will go down. Trimby looking for a bit more of a chase, and Broken Blade, nowhere for him to go. Caps could slide and glide in, decides against it. Double over to Larssen.
Really good response by Rogue now. G2 are the ones over forcing this dive, looking for some kind of 3v1. They saw Malrang, but Larssen and Trimby are quick to respond. Caps just that little step behind because of the Talia push. And now it's Rogue who find themselves with another 2 kills. Larssen going to TP back to mid.
Props to Larssen. Criticism has been thrown his way with regards to his performance, typically on the Talia, because we don't see him getting out of lane very often. We see him treating the Talia like a conventional control mage, but already we've seen 2 roams come out from him, and he's been involved in every single one of the early game kills.
As indeed, so look at your minimap here. Caps is just 1 step behind, and so they're 3-man top looking for a dive, but the Jankos is split. Ult was great. Larssen follow up on his combo on the Sejuani ult just means that this Jarvan Aatrox are locked in a stun zone. Trimby's there as well. Targamas gets zoned out, and by the time Caps arrives, 1 member's down and the other one's short to follow.
Very clean play from Rogue, and they just responded so quickly. This is something that having spoken to Oda1 in the past, he was often like, you know, I would tell my team, I'm about to get dived, and then no one would move. But now you can clearly see, he sets that expectation, hey guys, there's a huge stacked wave, I know I'm going to get dived on this next wave, they're going to try and shut me down. And if he dies there, this Aatrox Renekton matchup becomes much harder for him. So really good on Rogue to be able to cover for him, dissuade the dive, and now he's very much still in this game, and Rogue find themselves with a small gold lead.
Yeah, ever so slight, about 700 gold ahead right now. You can see top mid jungle and AD carry ahead for them. Only a lead for Targamas in that support role, obviously getting the assist, helping him out, and it's a lot easier to stack as Senna when you want your support item built up, so he's probably got a bit more gold from that.
Just thing I want to highlight back towards the top side that Betty was just mentioning is this is a Renekton Aatrox lane, but this is not the old Renekton Aatrox versions where you go Sterak's and Black Cleaver. This is going to be Eclipse versus Bladed Ruin King. Incredibly squishy, incredibly volatile. Both of these will get melted in team fights, but they will dish out a lot of damage, so it's almost like a triple threat comp from both sides. G2, of course, have that Seraphine more for a supportive tool and Jankos for the engage, but it's on Caps and Broken Blade to carry through these fights.
Caps has gone for the crown of the Shattered Queen to start off. G2 trying to make a play down towards the bottom side. Vision control though for Rogue will spot them out. The Herald goes down still. He needs a bit of a chip damage on that tower, otherwise the Herald won't fell it in one swoop. Rogue still trying to defend this. If Toad goes forward, I mean, Malrang's willing to step past this. They might be able to... I was a little bit quick on that one. The smite was available for Malrang, but they don't quite manage to take down the Rift Tower before it charges in. Gold back in G2's pockets.
And the gold, maybe not the best targets. You know, it's going over to the Senna Seraphine, that's great. They'll be incredibly supportive, but Caps has the crown of the Shadow Queen for now. He's able to contest a little bit of mid push with this blue buff, with Jankos being around, with some kind of vision on mid. And Tribute not having flash means it's so hard to contest bot push. You know, you're against a Jarvan. The second you overstep, even if he comes through lane, Jankos could just do an EQ through lane and chase you down. So Rogue have to give up that push, but now they want to retake this bot side jungle. Malrang's going to find Jankos.
Jankos can EQ out of this one. Caps looking for Larson in the mid lane. Does still have flash and a heal. Larson uses neither. Glacial isn't going out. Stopwatch used as well by Larson. Now he's going to try and escape after this, but he just can't get out quickly enough. G2 take another kill. The charm hits onto Trimby, and there's no way for the Lulu to escape. G2 with 2.
The 4-man collapse from G2 was much faster than Rogue. You can see the comp was a little bit delayed. I mean, I think he even went back to base there, and G2 just leveraging their numbers advantage were able to shut down Rogue and secure a big skirmish win.
Also great TP by Flakkid. It doesn't TP to creeps. It's not 14 minutes in, but he TPs to mid-tier 1 the second that exchange kicks off, so he's just in time to pick up a second kill. Look at reaction time. Already TPing mid because Caps is calling that he wants to go onto Larson, so he's pre-TPing. Larson could flash to the side here, maybe get a Lulu ult, but I think he will die anyway because Flakkid can follow with the ult, so wants to save that summoner, and then Trimby not having flash means he falls.
Yeah, you have to question why Larson chose not to flash the initial play, and you have to wonder, while he looks at the minimap, he sees Malrang with him, he sees Trimby with him, and he's thinking to himself, I can outplay this, we can actually win this skirmish. The biggest difference there was the arrival of Flakkid, the numbers advantage that G2 did have, resulting in 2 kills going in their back pocket. So we've got a pretty close early game. We didn't expect a lot of action, but already we've got 3 kills on either side. G2 find themselves with a bigger advantage due to the plates that they've been able to accrue down towards the bot side of the map. Let's see where the next play will be. We keep our eyes on top lane once again. Odoamne has the push, did invest his TP. It looks like that Malrang's going to go back to base. Nothing too crazy going to happen.
Jankos hovering around bot. Maybe wants to force a flash out of Trimby again so they can keep this bot push up, because now Trimby and Comp have their sums up. They can be a bit more aggressive on these waves. For now, it looks like Jankos is just going to help them get a push out.
I mean, if you can push out quickly here, you've got 20 seconds before the final plate would fall off. So if you were able to get to that tower, you could have taken it. Obviously, they decide against that. They just want to shove the wave in, and they will back away now. Like, almost caught by Comp, but he's fine.
The thing I was going to mention is, if you keep your eyes on the minimap, you'll notice the Caps is going to start getting funneled, all of these Raptor camps. You can already start to see a 30 CS discrepancy being built up in mid lane. A part of that is due to the early roams that we saw from Larson, on top of the fact that Larson then did get killed, but even more farm is being funneled into Caps. And for anyone that watched last week, Caps' Azir was pretty monstrous. He had a pretty incredible performance on it last week. He was really popping off when playing against Misfits. And he's a player that is worth investing those resources into, and he's going to only reach those item power spikes even faster as more gold and farm gets funneled into him.
Yeah, he's so strong right now, Caps. Rogue are going to get this bot tier 1 in response. They don't have a wave just yet, but it should die on the next one, and it looks like Jankos is setting up the second Herald so they can crack open that mid tier 1. All of Rogue hovering down here in case anyone of G2 wants to cover this tower or try to defend it. They're going to call their bluff and instantly engage on them. See how much they push for here is the question, because G2 can look for top tier 1, but there's not many threats of a dive, so Odoamne is pretty safe for now. Caps is on his way up, and if they show here, that's safe over 2 towers.
Odoamne has the Curse of the Sands. He's going to try and get away from this one, but there's just no escape for him. Caps shreds him! Absolutely melts through the croc, and now with Rift Tail, G2 can look for perhaps even a tier 2 in the top lane if they want.
Yeah, Bladed Ruin King Renekton incredibly squishy. Has the ultimate, yes, but Caps has enough damage to take him down. Looks like they're going to counter jungle away Malrang's red buff. They got this bot tier 1. And now G2 respond with a Herald and a top tier 1 of their own and the kill.
Targamas' ultimate being extremely helpful in setting up that dive as well. Did actually clip onto Odoamne, getting good damage down, which means that G2, they'll be able to secure the top tower. You can see that bot tower as well. It's very low for Rogue, so they can leverage this Herald to break open mid and really limit Larsen's impact on the map. G2 setting themselves up nicely. They fell behind a little bit in the early game, but already they're back out on the map and they're looking good.
Broken Blade should be able to get away from this one. You can see Comp has the most gold in the game, but then you look at Caps, Flacket, Broken Blade, all sitting up near the top of that chart. And that's really where you want your gold funneled if you are G2. Larsen, after those couple of plays early on, hasn't really been able to have too much of an impact moving around the map either. It's been G2 who've been the proactive team, and now we have to see how Rogue deal with the fact that G2 are in the lead.
Dragon spawns in about a minute and a half. The question is, who's actually going to look to contest it? Because there is a world where Rogue can just choose to concede it if they don't feel that they're strong enough right now. But you have to remember that Azir, Senna, Seraphine is only going to continue to scale the longer this game goes. Good route.
That catch it. No real escape for Larsen. Tries to flash away, but you just can't escape that route over the wall. A bit of vision from G2. That singular ward spotted Larsen backing away, and even his flash was too late. Tier 2 going down in the top lane, bot lane as well, and the mid lane tower will fall. It's a huge gold injection for G2.
It's a massive play there. Getting that pick means so Jankos can use Herald bot. There's no threat of a Taliyah down to contest the 2v2. They get a mid tower because you have no wave clearance Ares top. G2 have just blown the game wide open.
It's 5,000 gold.
Yep.
So 4.5.
G2 have just ballooned this game off of a single play. And like, you got to remember that it goes back a little bit further than this too. The cross map that happened where Rogue committed to securing the bot tower in exchange for the Herald. G2 not only got the Herald, they got a dive tops, they also secured the first tower. Then when they came back out onto the map, they found a pick onto Larsen, took the mid tower, which they didn't need to use the Herald for, and they had the push in bot, dropped the Herald there. Like, so many things happened sequentially that have allowed G2 to very quickly accrue a 4k gold lead and put themselves in a commanding position and set up nicely for the Drake spawning in 10 tech.
Just look at the items. Caps really close to level 13 right now. Going to be 2 levels up over Larsen. 2 items completed. And now Rogue look like they want to contest the Dragon, but I'd be a bit scared to do this. Yes, you're first to the objective, but Caps is on his way. Flacket's going to TP back. Not sure what he's going to pick up. G2 don't want to let this one slide. See if Rogue just disengage this or if they want to find a flank with Malrang. He's been spotted now, though.
Flacket a little bit slow to this, does have the Rylai's Crystal Scepter complete. Glacial Prism going down, only hits onto Jankos, and Jankos secures the smite. Rogue now on the back foot, the Weaver's Wall will separate G2 for the moment. Comp trying to step forward as well with that lightning crash. The dive in, the Cataclysm not enough. Comp's still very healthy on this back line, but G2 advancing 4 members strong. Only Odo and Comp on this side of the wall as Caps looks to go forward, but he can't catch onto Comp, who's kiting back, but really not doing too much damage, tickling more than anything. Caught in the Infernal Chains, dodges to the side, but Broken Blade very happy just to walk away from this one. Comp taking more damage than his worth as Targamas flashes can't quite get enough to take him out.
Good damage from Targamas. You can see the blood in his eyes as he tries to execute Comp, but it's G2 that walk away the victors once again. Yes, Jankos did lose his life, and he lost it very quickly. I was surprised by how quickly he died. Let's have a look back at this exchange.
Most importantly, though, he stole the Dragon, so now G2 are sitting at 2 Drakes. Let's see how quick the Jarvan dust dive is, because it looks like they piled a Senna ult on top of this Jarvan ult, and that was the turn with it.
Yeah, Senna ult's too late.
He just disappeared.
Instantly disappeared, but they managed to get Malrang in response, and like you said, man, Comp's just not doing any damage. I mean, they have healing from the Senna Seraphine, but even Broken Blade with this squishy kind of full damage Aatrox build with the lethality just doesn't fall. Targamas gets Comp on the end of it, doesn't manage to get the kill, but pushed him out of the fight.
And it's something we talked about yesterday, which is range. Range can be such a powerful factor, especially in extended fights, because every time Caps hits you with one of his soldiers, that damage is going to stick. Every time Larsen hits you with one of his Qs, it's not, because there's double healing from both the Senna and the Seraphine. So the longer the fight goes on, the more time G2 have in a fight, the better and easier it is going to be for them to win.
Yeah, time is their best friend. Time in a fight, time in the game, anything in terms of scaling or slowing things down. But right now, G2 the one speeding things up. They managed to take 4 towers after a single pick or 3 towers after a single pick. And now with the mid tier 2 down, they can walk into this top side jungle, put as much vision down as they want. Azir, of course, very fast at doing the Baron on 2 items as well, 3 items. So G2, when that spawns, will have a threat of it. Rogue need to look for picks. Maybe they can catch Caps out when he tries to push out these top waves. Larsen can ult through the lane. Malrang can look for a flank. But Jankos is covering it.
And Rogue need to look to one of their players who's consistently stepped up for them when it matters through the regular season and through playoffs. Comp has been an incredibly consistent AD carry for this team. So often the reason his team is able to win games is through that bot lane. And here, on the Zeri, he has the opportunity to carry once again. It is a very difficult road. He is dealing with a Seraphine, dealing with a Senna, but he's got a Lulu by his side, and I've seen what a Zeri-Lulu combination can do.
For sure. Really, this whole game is going to be determined by whether or not Comp can have a meaningful impact.
Have a Zeri moment, I think, is the phrase you're looking for.
G2 have a very powerful Comp. Props to the bot lane of G2.
Comp's actually playing for Rogue.
No, I know that, but yeah. I meant...
Rogue have a very powerful comp.
No, G2 have a very powerful comp.
No, because he plays for Rogue.
No,
oh my god. TP going down towards the bottom side as Odoamne's caught out a little bit here. Caps with the TP behind. Odoamne still very squishy on this Crocodile. See you later, Alligator. Odoamne dies.
Meanwhile, Crocodile, now it's Malrang looking for the engage.
Trying to get onto that backline. Polymorph going out as well. Trimby trying to get in as well, but he just can't do it. Trimby down, Jankos takes him. And look at Targos and Black, and they're still full HP. Comp can get nowhere near this. Larson was stopped from joining the fight. Caps now sliding in from the side as well. Malrang forfeit, double for Jankos. G2 are schooling Rogue.
That should be Baron as well with 30 seconds on the enemy jungler. We're seeing the power of G2's comp when they can group up, when they own the map, when they're this far ahead. Rogue had a slim chance in the early stages with the Sejuani Renekton to look for plays, but G2's comp just running away with it. Caps, Jankos and Broken Blade running away with it. And now they sit pretty happy after this Baron falls. That top tier 2 should fall shortly afterwards when they get the setup. And we'll look at this one again.
So, Odoamne, he's just looking to clear out the wave. He's a little overextended on the bot side with no one playing towards him. Caps with a good teleport, along with the Senna ultimate, is enough to get that pick. But Rogue, I think very wisely used this opportunity to try and force a fight mid. They know they have the numbers advantage, and it's a really good ultimate, but you can see that Comp isn't close enough. He doesn't actually get to follow up on that engage, and Trippy just gets executed by Jankos solo. Larson can't really contribute to the fight, and immediately, just as the fight starts, they're forced to disengage.
I mean, the Azir, Senna, Seraphine alone, they outrange, they outscale, they outdamage, they out DPS. There's so many factors. Rogue need a pixel-perfect engage. Sejuani ult Renekton TP onto a Senna or a Seraphine, get the kill. Larson combo on the second rotation of CDs, and then Comp needs to find his way into these fights, but it's all just so difficult and so hard to pull off that G2 are just running them over.
G2 have just exploded this gold lead once again. You can see very even first 12, 13, 15 minutes of the game, and then G2 have taken advantage after advantage after advantage. Now they have 2 minutes on the Baron, and Rogue trying to lick their wounds, find a way back into this game, but you still don't even have 3 items on Comp. Look at the other side, Caps probably about 100 gold away. Oh, 1,000 gold away from his Rabadons.
Carry the 0.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a rounding error, right? But he's very close to that 3rd item, already doing so much work in this tower in the bottom lane. G2's next target. Jankos dashes across the wall just to try and keep Rogue at arm's length. G2 will take their first inhibitor of the game, only 23 minutes in as well. After what was a slow early game, they really accelerated this one away from Rogue, and Rogue, their foot's been more on the brake than the accelerator. So like a Ferrari strategy, it seems.
Let's not forget that it was this roster that made the 12-0 run last split. They had an incredible performance after being knocked down into the lower bracket by Fnatic. 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, 3-0. They came into MSI 12-0. Their win record continued as they continued to dominate. They weren't dropping games at MSI. And I believe it was T1 that was the team that was able to usurp them in the end. But this roster, while there were some doubts around the regular season, especially given how they started, they finished the first half 4-5. Some question marks around could they find comfort in the meta? Could they really actually come together as a roster? Or perhaps it was just a bit of spring luck that they were able to find. But second half, 8-1. Came into playoffs 3-1 against Misfits, the most dominant series that we had. They come into game 1 against Rogue, who went toe-to-toe with Mad, and they've looked extremely solid and confident here in game 1 already.
Yeah, I remember we had Jankos and Euphoria off those first few weeks, and they said, if we have a very good record in the first 3 weeks, can we have a break? Because MSI was so shortly after into the summer season, and they said yes, because they had a good first couple weeks in the regular season, but that's when it started to fall apart. They were behind on the meta. They had to do a lot of catching up to do, but by the second half of the season, they showed how dominant they are. You talked about the 8-1 record, and now with this Baron buff, not much left of it. It's going to fade away now. They won't have it for this next wave, but maybe they can force the tower with Odoamne being body. Has TP. There's a ward just over the Baron pit, you can see on the minimap, and a ward behind them in the lane that Odoamne could TP to. They have a really good flank setup Rogue here if they want to try to collapse on them, but G2 as a death ball are just so powerful.
And when you've lost every fight until this moment, it can be a little bit difficult to pull the trigger on the next one. No TP going in from Odo. The tower falls. G2 will back away. And I will ask observers if we can just click on Targamas for a second. I want to see how many stacks this center is sitting at. 119. So not as high as he was last time he played it. I remember him being at about 140 at this point, but still pretty impressive. At 25 minutes, anything over 100, you're looking like a very long-range artillery cannon in that center. Now with rapid-fire cannon built as well, it's even longer range.
And a Rabadon's picked up for Caps. There's the 3 items complete. There's the gold that he needed. Rogue, never really going to get better from this point onwards. They're inevitably going to have to fight the Soul. So 3 minutes time we will see a fight. 2 minutes on the Baron. G2 could also rush that one down before the Dragon spawns because of how powerful Caps is. So yeah, Rogue needs to be quick to react if they want to have even a slimmest of chance to bring this game back.
Yep, this game does feel done and dusted. Again though, our eyes are drawn to Comp. 3 items done, the Infinity Edge is there. He has everything that he needs to have a Zeri moment. Question is, can Trimby enable it, and will G2 give him the opportunity?
Tanko's gonna go for this. EQ possibility, has knocked back, though stunned, exhausted, Glacial Prism enough. The shutdown goes over to Trimby, not the target you want, but they'll take whatever they can get at the moment. Odo looking for a bit more chase, Broken Blade with a good Darking Blade. Knocks him up, Weaver's Wall, Larson needs to jump off that one, lickety split. They're forcing as much as they can. But they don't really have any more engaged. Glacial Prism already down. Who's going to get into the midst of the fray? Who's going to get into the battle?
Dash forward for Broken Blade.
Broken Blade dashes to the side. Still taking quite a bit of damage from the Ultra Shock Laser, but the healing now coming in for G2. Flacker doing what he can. Larson putting the damage down as well. And as you say, the range just too strong for G2. They walk forward in a 4v5, and they force Rogue away.
Jankos hovering from War, doesn't have the ultimate. Great pick for Rogue, but yeah, they just can't translate it into anything. Even if G2 had to back away there, there's still a minute on the Baron and 2 minutes on the Dragon, so there's no objectives for them.
You gotta feel frustrated if you're Rogue, because that is one of the rare times that you're able to catch Caps out like that. A really meaningful pick, but they just can't convert it into anything, and now it might be Malrang's life on the line.
Yeah, Malrang has flash, but he can't get out of this. 40 seconds on him, 40 seconds on the Baron.
Poor Malrang. Can we just pull one out for him? Doesn't even have a Mythic, had to go Warmog's first item, hasn't even completed his Mythic yet, so Jankos 3,000 gold ahead of Rogue's jungler right now. And with the Baron spawning at 30, I think, yeah, G2 would have started up.
It's a frustrating situation for Rogue to find themselves in. You could see in the jungle how obnoxious it was playing into Targamas and Flakked, because every time you tried to close the gap, there's always something just being thrown in your face, preventing you from actually closing the gap. And given that Malrang is the only real engage that you have, unless Odoamne is able to find a flank, G2 just get to keep Rogue at arm's length. With Malrang only just spawning now, G2 are going to melt through this Baron.
Definitely take it really quickly. 3 items on the Azir means it will melt like a hot knife through butter. Larson, though, does have Unsealed Spellbook. And there is a possibility that he could steal this somehow. He's got the smite now. He could look for the flash. Larson decides against it. Secured by Targamas of all people.
Ooh. I feel like Larson could have gone for that. I wonder what Rogue's vision looked like, because there was a blue orb that was pinged. I wonder how much Larson saw of the Baron before actually deciding going against flashing over that wall. But now with 30 seconds on the Dragon, there's no wards on Trimby, so he's in a base to pick up some more wards to refresh. TP on the bot side by Caps.
It's a flank position. Broken Blade here. Caps coming in from the side as well, as you say. Good stopwatch, and Larson just absolutely eaten up by Broken Blade. G2 have been on the wrong end of Aatrox in the past. This time it comes to their better. Broken Blade forced into the GA, Odoamne forced away as well. EQ combo from Jankos will knock him up. Broken Blade back to full HP, because of course he is. As G2 look for the chase, the charm just short comp, trying to do Zeri things, but what can you do in the face of G2? Another on the board for Jankos, he's on a rampage. G2 unrelenting in their aggression, will push in for the base.
And that's going to be it. They're going to end through bot here, G2. 29 minutes on the clock. It was G2 from start to finish. Rogue tried their best in the early stages, but G2 always had an answer in this game, one of the best of 5.
An absolute demolition, a show of force from G2 as they claim game 1.
G2 looking a cut above right now.
Yeah, an impressive game overall. G2, they've looked clean in their game 1s before. Of course, still a long series ahead of us, but Caps on Azir, the bot lane adaptation, the Senna Seraphine doing massive work, and overall just a really great play, and huge props to Targamas, kind of the quiet carry of that whole game. His roams to the top side early on, the way in which he was leveraging his range in these teamfights, the fact that he was willing to flash onto Comp in that late game teamfight while not securing the kill, just showed how confident he was in this game. His long-range ultimates also contributing to these dives, just an overall very solid performance from the support of G2.
A lot to take away from this game 1 for Rogue as well. I think Azir is a must-pick, must-ban right now. We saw Cap's performance earlier on last weekend. We saw it again this weekend on the Azir so far. And I think you're going to pick blue side as Rogue, and you're going to first pick that Azir, and you're going to keep the similar kind of bans, but I don't think you can give that over.
I mean, it makes sense to put Larson on his most played as well. It's not like you're picking it just to take it away from Caps, given Larson Azir something he's been so confident in in his 200 games in the LEC. Of course, Rogue is struggling a little bit there, and I think they really need to find how they're going to play around these G2 compositions. But for now, we're going to hand it over to Shox, Treats, and Gulborg, who are standing by to break down that game.
You're so nice, Medic. Struggled a little bit. They got stomped, bro. It was not a pretty game one, I think, for Rogue, unfortunately. Very convincing. Hey, it's not flame if it's what happened, okay?
Okay.
But let's talk about it then. In that draft order, I thought it was really interesting how Medic set it up there as well. In terms of Azir, I think we can agree, right? Caps is a monster on it. Larson can also be a monster of it. But as we get the draft order up, there were a couple of things that specifically jumped out to you, right? GB, can you run us through it?
Yeah, I feel like coming through, like, obviously Azir is going to be a contested pick. And generally speaking, for the first 3 picks coming through from both teams, they still make sense to me. I feel like there's still good rotations. You get the Sejuani, it's a flex. You have Lulu, because Yumi is already banned. And then you know that we will have 1 good enchanter for Seri, we can come through with 3. But I think it's a really good adaptation that G2 then makes when they see this rotation.
Yeah, I think after this, after the 1, 2, 3 on both sides, I was expecting the Sejuani to be flexed until 5 on the side of Rogue. I think it's kind of weird that they break the flex early. It kind of tells me that they don't really have an answer into the Renekton. So I feel like this Renekton is kind of out of place, and I would rather just see a Talia there instead, and then a counter pick for Odwamne or for Malrang. So I think that already hurts Rogue's draft, especially in early game, because losing jungle priority and just having a Sejuani doesn't really do a lot for the early game. And as we highlighted before, right, they need Malrang to pop off in the early game.
And especially because their compositions become so short range all of a sudden. Yes, Seri is fast if she gets to ramp up, but when you have Sejuani, Renekton, and Seri, and they're playing against a Death Ball combo, which is a Sia, Aatrox, Seraphine that can just throw everything at you, you don't get that ramp up.
He said a Ooga Booga comp.
Yes, I mean, I like to call the G2 draft an Ooga Booga comp, right? They just have 5 champions with a bunch of AoE, a bunch of healing, a bunch of damage, and I think that from the side of Rogue, like the Talia and the Zeri just can't do enough damage this game. They just can't go through the front line of G2, and I think we saw that in this game, right? G2 got a slight lead, but it looked like even bigger lead because their comp was just so much better.
I like that you guys have pointed out that there's more than meets the eye in terms of the draft, that the fact that the flex wasn't held of the Sejuani but broken early indicates a certain top priority or champion pool. And the question, okay, would Odwamne go for that Aatrox in the future? I think that's really interesting. It's not always all that meets the eye, Treats. There's a lot behind the picks that we see.
There is for sure, and I think that Odwamne definitely is a big champion pool, right? But maybe he just felt like Renekton Sejuani, it's a strong combo, right? It's one of the old classics, and I think it's hard to say in game 1 because they're trying things out, right? Maybe they also come to the conclusion now, it's not gonna work.
Just to be clear, I see people online sometimes saying, oh, the analysts think a person doesn't play a pick. No, you're saying we haven't seen it as of recent, so we have no reason to believe.
Exactly, yeah.
And speaking of that, like in this game as well, we haven't often seen Rogue playing up towards that top side, but in this game, it actually happened quite a bit with the skirmishes we saw up there. I think when you had Renekton into Aatrox, you know that early game you want to fight it. Sejuani doesn't do that too much. Luckily for them, they did have a Talia in the mid lane, and I think Larson got pushed against Caps so many times that it allowed him to get up here if needed, but here I think they messed it up a little bit.
Yeah, I think both Targamas and Trimby had really good reads on this play, and I think Targamas just had a bit more kill pressure here on the side of Odwamne, so I think both supports making a really early play up top was really impressive for me to see.
But it's weird because I see more Rogue players there initially, right? So you think they'd get the kill. That's an odd one, GB.
Yeah, I think it's just Rogue having a really good read on what's about to happen. They have to push in top, they have to push in mid.
Yeah,
it's
but my
easy
point
to
is they still missed the kill. So they're there first, they're there with more people.
Oh yeah, the execution goes wrong.
Yes.
Yeah, that's where you're getting at 100% right. The call is correct. Execution fumbles, and I think that's a big one. But one that does not fumble, that's going to be this one instead.
Yeah, and I think in general the terrain just favors blue side there, right? Like they're under their tower, very easy path for Targamas to just walk through the tower. Meanwhile, Rogue just has to walk around the entire fat wall there. So I think like G2 just had an easier angle.
Shaving wall since 22.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but Targamas had an easy access there, and I think he played really well there.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? That the terrain is also important. And it's something you called out at the top of the day, saying Rogue often has the right view of things, but maybe not always the exact execution. And you guys wanted to dive a little bit deeper into why that all happened in
I mean, we have some hot telestrator coming up, I think. Is that
okay.
Is that what you can call it? And
some
mostly
Scandinavian telestrator.
True that. Mostly what this telestrator is going to be about is rotations. We've called in Monte just to quickly go over a bird's eye view of the map here. And as you can see, you actually have a state where Rogue has pushed in the top lane, or bot lane rather. They have their members around ready to move down. And then you actually see the G2 bot lane moving up towards mid. Can you give your insights on towards the streets?
Yeah, I mean, they know that bot lane is completely open here, right? Rogue are sending everyone down, meanwhile they're taking Herald, so in their eyes they're like, we can't do anything on bot here, we're gonna move mid. And then we have this phrase in SK where we call this a demon shift, where one lane moves up to mid and the mid lane moves up to top right, and this is what G2 is doing here. Caps is moving up to dive Odoamne, meanwhile G2 bot lane is moving towards mid, so basically they're kind of covering the entire map right there. They put a lot of pressure on Rogue this way, and I think it's just a really good rotation overall.
And we can just cue the play right now. You can see exactly what's going to happen while that happens. So Larsen is back in the mid lane to shove in waves, but by the time that happens, well, Odoamne is getting doved on the top side, and Flacket and G2, they're collapsing on it. So as we pause the clip right here, what do you think the move is to make then, Treats? Because I know you have a good idea of it.
Yeah, I was saying as well in the back room here that I think that right now with the Herald for G2, if they just reset and send Broken Blade towards mid or bot here, they can just have a really strong Herald play.
Yeah, so he push in the top wave, then
Exactly,
he backs instantly, he can go mid, and then because that he's shoving at top lane, someone from Rogue is going to have to respond to that, and when they are responding to that, they would have time. But if we cue out the play, once again, you can actually see what's going to happen instead is the fact that it's a little bit of an off-tempo as you can go. Why is it the off-tempo happens here, Treats?
Yeah, I mean, BB is kind of forced to take this tower by himself, and then he's forced to clear another wave, right? Because he doesn't want to leave that wave coming into him. So he's like, I'm going to clear this wave, and then I'm going to run mid. And I think it's still the correct call for Broken Blade, but they're not really synced up on the Caps side lane and BB. You can see him basing right, meanwhile Caps is pushing bot, so ideally they would have the same tempo, but this play still works out.
Yeah, so as we pause here, you can see that the reason where you would have gone would actually have been the wave before this actually happened. You wanted to go on the wave before Larsen, he was actually backing, while the members were still top. Because right now, it's only comp, and because it's only comp top, the rest of the Rogue members have started to gather around. But once again, crucial ward is coming through.
Yeah, and I think that they just don't expect Broken Blade to be here, right, from Rogue side. They're like, there's a big top wave. Of course the top lane will go top, but they don't understand that BB is one step ahead of them in this rotation, and him going mid creates a big pick pressure here on Larsen where he's spacing.
And that means they have a 3 versus 3 in the mid lane. Comp is alone on top, and on the bot side, they will have a 2 versus 1 on Odoamne. So they create a man advantage and a man advantage in the mid lane in the sense that G2 actually have the tempo right now. Larsen haven't been back to back yet, and because he gets gone on instantly, well, as we roll out the clip, you'll see exactly what happens in just a bit here.
Yeah, I mean, mid lane just gets the kill on Larsen right when he's basing, and they keep pushing mid. They have the Herald for bot lane as well. They're just pushing 2 lanes, taking 2 towers, even 3 towers, right? And 1 kill. So this is just a beautiful sequence by G2. I think this is a perfect example to show the tempo of their team and how they understand tempo as a team as well. And they're very fast to pull the trigger.
Yep, and just like that, they create man advantages on the map, and we'll have to create another man advantage as the desk as we walk back there.
Man advantage, I'll take it. But G2...
Wait, it wasn't meant like that, actually.
I really love the bird's eye view and the way you guys explained that, because you can't always see it, right, the way we look at the game, but it is quite impressive the way they move around the map, indeed. Now, when it comes to the next draft, Rogue has chosen blue, the loser team gets to pick it, and I think that's normal. I wanted to highlight Targamas on Senna specifically as well, 100% kill participation, super important pick. We've seen it before from Targamas, but I think especially that combination with the Seraphine, not only the fact that it worked out is great for the win, but also in terms of draft, right? Because now they need to think about this on top of everything else.
Yeah, it puts a lot of pressure on draft, and I think that with the Seraphine pairing there on bot lane, it just creates such a good 5v5, and I think Targamas is a really good Senna, and I think he also plays it in a slightly different way than other Sennas. I think he also goes for these roams, right? Oftentimes Senna can be seen as only lane pick, where you play something like with the Tom Kench, right? But I think with the Seraphine, he's also free to move around the map and create plays as well.
Okay, does more than meets the eye. It's G2 that strikes first in this best of 5 first spot in the grand finals. What will Rogue's response be? We'll find out after this.
Whoa.
Even the biggest champ needs a break. Did anybody split a stick test?
The desire to see and experience more. It's in our nature to seek a wider perspective. Innovation that broadens your horizons. The all-new Sportage.
Kia, movement that inspires.
Dropped it.
And Freddy, we're on camera, man.
Welcome
you
back,
can't,
yeah.
you can't just crouch down to pick up your hand warmer.
Well, hands are cold. What? I mean, you know.
For context, he was throwing and then he missed it and it dropped. So he actually dropped.
Because you needed that context.
Yeah,
It's important
context.
Welcome back.
Simple task.
We're just waiting for the pros to get back on stage. About to jump into game 2 of this best of 5 between G2 and Rogue. It was a bit of a stomp, game 1. G2 looking confident, looking like a cut above the rest. Of course, we've seen stomps in game 1 before to then have teams immediately bounce back in game 2. There's a lot that can be learned from game 1 drafts, especially if Rogue now take this opportunity to go onto the blue side and perhaps look to first pick the Azir themselves.
We saw the same thing in the G2 Misfits series, right? Big stomp from G2. Misfits then take blue side, I believe it was, and then big stomp from Misfits. So can't count Rogue out yet, but G2 definitely look a cut above for now as the players return to the stage for their second game.
Is a cut above just our phrase for the day?
Yeah.
All right.
How many times have I said it?
You've used it twice and Betty's used it once.
Has
so
he used
far,
it twice?
so-
Okay, I'll think of something else.
Okay. In the upper echelon.
Okay, whoa, wow. Didn't even know that word existed, but it sounds cool.
It does. That's most of what I say as a caster. Just
Say
things
cool
that sound cool that aren't really relevant to anything.
The catchphrase that always sticks in my head is, do you remember Silic Bang?
Bang, and the enemy's gone.
There was a banger UK advert.
Yeah.
For
And the
Washington.
gorilla one with the chocolate.
Yeah. Obviously, we're just waiting for the players to get back on stage. We'll get into draft as soon as possible. We've talked about Azir priority. Is there anything else you guys think needs to be switched up in the draft in this game?
I think the desk was highlighting a little bit of Target Mass performance on Senna, right? And I think Senna is always a dangerous one because of how much flexibility it provides to G2. You can play a Senna Seraphine, you can play a Senna Tam, you can play a Senna Sion, you can play a Senna Yasuo. I think G2 are the one team in Europe right now who I think have the most diversity when it comes to bot lane draft, which then helps your top side out so much more because you can either drop your bot side to 4-5 or you can pick it early and then get one of the prio picks like the Senna and match things into the Lucian Nami or these Lulu lanes that other teams can't do right now.
True. I mean, that's also not where the flexibility stops, right? Let's not forget the Caps can play anything and everything in mid. It was he who actually played a Nivea at MSI. We've also seen the Yone in top lane. Let's see what concoction, that's not how you pronounce that word, G2 can go up with as we get into the draft for game 2.
Sounded cool though.
G2 on the red side this time, Rogue electing to be blue. There's the Jarvan ban from Rogue, respecting the fact that Jankos can bring that out. Obviously, Poppy taken away as well by G2. I wonder if we'll see Draven Kalista removed by these two teams, or whether we'll see things totally change up from game 1.
Twitch Prime Casual, love that guy in the crowd. Good sign.
I'm sorry, you have to start paying for when. Like, if we comment on it, that's fine. But if you just point out,
have to make sure it's seen. But you're completely right. The Jarvan ban with the Sejuani ban signals to me that that's going to be maybe a Sivir first pick, maybe an Azir first pick. Trundle is still up, Kalista is still up. A lot of overpowered picks in the current meta are available. And don't forget that Broken Blade is the one who's been playing a lot of Sejuani. We haven't even seen Jankos' Sejuani yet, so they're definitely happy to pick that as a flex. There's the Azir. I think Rogue have already made a good choice from the get-go. You can't drop that Azir prio.
We'll watch G2 now respond with an early rotation on the Ahri. Last game, we saw Rogue prioritizing both the Sejuani and the Lulu. With the Sejuani gone, I don't think G2 really need to prioritize the Lulu because, Yuumi is still up. So they could just get themselves Yuumi something if they want to. But it looks like they're going to stick with the Senna for now.
They could pick Senna and something like Trundle here for Jankos or some kind of jungler, drop AD till 3, keep the Senna lane a mystery in terms of what they want to pick. You know, if then they Rogue respond with Sivir Yuumi on 2-3, then of course you can go for that Yasuo on 3 if G2 have the confidence to do so. There's a lot of question marks right now with G2's draft. You could flex a Renekton here right now as well because it's a really big bot lane. How much they value countering jungle or blinding jungle? How much they value countering the AD carry pool? It's going to be Jankos' Wukong for now, expecting AD on 3 in terms of like what will pair with Senna or Caps' Sylas perhaps.
Or the Ahri that Veli mentioned. Obviously, it's still a possibility. Rogue here. I mean, if you look at it just from their side of the draft, Zeri Yuumi, Sivir Yuumi is like so powerful. Like, give Comp something that he can carry on, team it up with the Yuumi, who is probably the best enchanter support right now.
Or Yuumi Ornn could work really well here as well. Senna notoriously kind of not the strongest AD carrier taking down front lines, and Odoamne might just go for that comfort pick here. You can drop AD here. Zeri, Sivir, Ezreal, there's 3 ADs that you can
even Jinx, Aphelios.
Yeah, Jinx Aphelios, not the best within a mobile AD carry, Yuumi, but still works very well, I think, depending on the bot matchup. But I think Ornn here as well could be good for Rogue. Just go full scaling. Trundle as well could work to make sure you have an early game bridge to that mid to late game. Picking AD for me here doesn't feel necessary because you're falling into G2's trap of, we want you to pick AD, we're going to counter it. Renekton for Odoamne, not going to go for the Ornn.
You hate that pick, don't you? feel like you hate that pick. Just say you hate it.
Sometimes.
Just like, do you hate the pick right
I
now?
am a Renekton. No, I love that pick.
You,
I do.
love
I
it?
genuinely do.
Yeah.
Genuinely
I'm not a
lover.
fan of the blind Renekton. I mean, I understand why it's strong
In this
meta,
context, maybe not
but
so
I
much.
prefer the Ornn. I think that the Ornn made way
Yeah.
more sense when you were talking me through it. The logical made sense to me, especially when you have the Yuumi. The thing that I think they were lacking last game was engage. I think that when you're so reliant on just the Sejuani, having more engage tools is only a good thing. So by bringing in the Ornn, you would solve that problem. You'd have much easier access up to the backline, and then you could follow that up with something like a Trundle that would only further facilitate the Ornn. So yeah, I think I would have preferred an Ornn.
I think you're right as well. I think what Rogue were probably saying in comps, if I pick Ornn here, they're going to go Aatrox on 3 and we might fall into a similar hole where topside's just really lost, or a Gwen. And we don't have a strong enough jungler because we don't pick it in the 1-2-3, right? So they're going to ban away things like the Trundle, maybe even things like the Skarner, any kind of early game champ that Malrine can get his hands on and make it so topside is lost. So they want to solidify a winning top matchup on paper. The only worry I have from them now is you're going to get a pretty weak jungler when you need that bridge to the mid to late game.
I think that G2 have just cracked the code on the answer to Yuumi, which is Senna Seraphine. Because one of the problems with just running Seraphine, like I have seen some comps where it's Seraphine Nautilus, for example. The problem with that is that you just get outscaled by the sheer damage that a Zeri and a Sivir can output in the late game. But when you combine that with the Senna, and then when you see Targamas doing like the same damage per minute as a traditional AD carry is, you know that this comp is only going to continue to scale while also just having great utility. You then have the Engage come out from Jankos. They're going to bring the Aatrox out once again as an answer to the Renekton. And it feels like the G2 just have the formula to answer in this meta. The question is, how will they respond to the Azir that has now come out from Rogue?
I think they just slam a Sylas here, and I think G2 are sitting pretty happy with the way that their comp's going to function into Rogues, because Sivir short range, take away Zinzal, buy time, 3 melees with a Senna Seraphine, very good front to back, unless they want something like a Talia or a Ryze that can impact sides a bit more, maybe to cover more so than actually make plays of their own. When we saw them try to cover top lane last game, BB on the Aatrox under a little bit of pressure from the Sejuani Renekton. Does Caps want to have to cover his team? Does he want a mage?
Huh?
It's Seraphine mid. Varus center support.
No, it's Varus mid.
Varus mid? You think it's the AP Varus build?
No, it's going to be Lethality Varus mid, I think. I've seen Caps' solo queue. He has been playing a little bit of Varus mid. Now, I'm going to hold my breath for a second because he has been playing it, but the question is, will he play it here on stage?
Okay, boys, you're going to have to update me because I haven't seen any Varus anywhere on the planet.
We'll wait to see where it goes, but back when I was a mid laner, Varus mid was the counter to Azir because you just poke him through lane.
Sure.
And it becomes so difficult when he gets rated dirt to actually start pushing back.
I remember that,
but
yeah.
It looks like it is going to be the Varus mid for Caps. I wonder what build he's going to go. I expect some kind of lethality, maybe towards tier, and then get that early serrated Dirk and poke out this Azir on mid waves. The problem you have with Varus mid is you're very immobile. So one Azir shuffle, you're dead. You lose your flash, you can't contest the push, but Cap's been playing it in solo queue, and it's a notorious, I don't want to say counter to Azir, but the champions that do well into Azir are ranged. So Xerath, Vel'Koz, Varus with lethality on his Q-Max.
I will say, first Varus mid in a major region this year. So, good to know.
Yeah. You were just talking about the Anivia.
I mean, we were talking about how, like, G2 have a lot of flexibility outside of just the bot lane. Like, the fact that they can play all these different champs in mid and
I think it's AP Varus mid, man. I agree with, like, lethality does work, but AP Varus has been, like, sleeper for a long time. We talked to the dev team before MSI, and they were saying AP Varus is actually slept on. It's AP Varus mid, man. I'm looking forward to this so much.
It's AP Varus mid.
Nashers, it's game 2. Rabadons, it's game 2. Let's go!
Okay, listen up. I've got Caps' solo queue on my screen right now.
We've got the tech.
He's going to play Hail of Blades Varus mid.
Yeah, Hail of Blades.
With Doran's Blade starts. And he's going to go Nashor's Tooth first item. And then he's going to go Riftmaker Rabadons, Zhonya's.
Yeah, so that looks like he's doing exactly what he does in
So his
queue,
mythic will be Riftmaker, and he'll rush Nashor's.
Alright, so for people that don't know why AP Varus mid can work, his W was turned into an active a long time ago. So it's when you proc the stacks you build up on an enemy, you use your W to help proc them, right? So you press your W, then you use your Q, and when the Q hits, it procs all the stacks. That has a 2.5% per 100 AP target max health scaling. So if you have 200 HP, you're doing 5% of the target's max health plus the 5% you get base from the ability.
So hang on, run me through what it is without the stacks. How much damage are we looking without the stacks?
So it's 5% target max HP from the W.
And then you get even more depending on how many stacks.
2.5% per 100 AP.
And then, but what about the blight
with
stacks
more
as
stacks?
well?
Oh my goodness,
You see what I'm saying?
It's up to a maximum of like 21% of the target's missing health.
We're in for a treat, is all I'm going to say, boys, because this is going to be a very interesting game. It was back in Season 5, Season 6, when this was the answer to Azir. You play things like, I don't know, remember what the rune was at the time, but imagine a Comet version where you would just poke him from long range.
Yes, it was Comet. You're right. You're completely right.
You just max Q, keep the Azir in the tower, and you just...
Well,
it's
so
it's hard for Azir to gap
There was
those.
a window with which Varus just kind of sucked, and then it got to like level 6 or level 7 when he's got 3 points in his Q, and then he just one-shots the wave, and he just... You can't rival his poke. It works in the same way that like Vel'Koz is an answer to Azir, and Xerath, as you rightly mentioned. They basically just out-poke and they outrange the Azir in the laning phase.
And he has minion dematerializer as well, so I wonder if he's going to use that on the backline to get that one shot on the Q-Max. We'll see what happens, but Varus will have good wave clear and really good setup with the ult as well. I think the most important thing for me so far in the series is Azir, right? G2 get Azir on blue side, they first pick, they win. Game 2, Rogue first pick Azir. This is G2's response. If this works for G2, Rogue are going to have to go back to the drawing board and come up with something extremely creative. And if it doesn't work for G2, Rogue might have cracked their pocket pick into Azir, and this series is about to get extremely interesting. So we'll keep our eyes on mid.
It reminds me, we were joking about it before, but I was talking to Cadril about how one of my favorite casts of all time was the SKT versus G2 MSI semi-final, where they brought out Pyke top lane. And of course, they were known for bringing out Pyke and being flexible with it, but sometimes that single pick can almost be meta-defining, right? In a way that it becomes problematic, and if teams can't even learn to pick it up, then it's something that you have to respect when playing against G2. And we saw it at MSI recently with the whole Anivia pick, right?
Yep.
It became a problem for teams because they didn't know how to deal or answer it.
And look at what's happened to Larson in the mid lane already. Camps has forced him out. He used both his potions. Now he goes back, he gets some boots and a pot, and will TP back into the lane. That summoner is down. Camps is going to recall and then just be able to walk back into the lane. He can, of course, TP in if he wants that little bit of prio as well.
So what does he buy on first base? I expect he's going towards Nashor, so maybe some kind of AP or daggers. He's going to go Darksteel or Fillable. I'm really excited to see this AP Varus damage when he hits the ult and gets his full combo off. But now it's on Malrang. Can Malrang shut this Varus down? He has good setup for it, right? You're playing Xin Zhao. If you can get on top of Varus, he is dead. If you can shuffle him once and get his flash, he can never contest his push. He does have his weaknesses, but for now it looks like Caps in a pretty comfortable position. He just needs Jankos around mid a lot of the time to give him some vision to work with.
Yeah, Kedra, if you could highlight that ward for me just in the topside river, you can see that Jankos is just doing a good job of basically just keeping an eye in terms of that vision, and you can see the observers highlighting it for us as well. These wards are super important in terms of making sure that Caps is in a safe position, but also to allow him to play aggressively as he wants. They do have push on the bot side of the map, which should give them access to that crab too. But G2, the only lane that they're struggling in right now is the top lane. Very similar to what we saw last game. Odoamne does have controller in the 1v1, as you expect in the isolated 1v1 matchup at early levels. So far, we haven't been able to see much early game action from Malrang. He did hover around mid looking for an opportunity. But as much as we are excited about Caps on this Varus, so far in the early game, the gold is dead even. Nothing too chaotic has happened. We're just starting to see these CS discrepancies build up in bot lane, mid lane, and top lane for each respective team.
And that battle between the junglers is one that we've had our eyes on coming into this series, and one that we had our eyes on in game one. Both these... A couple of the top junglers in our league. Depends, whether you put Elioyo above them, but I'd say top 3 for both Jankos and Malrang. Malrang had a couple of good ganks in game 1, but struggled to really have an impact as the game went on, whereas Jankos here just constantly trying to track him. You can see another control ward down, the wards on the top side of the river as well, making it hard for Malrang to find his avenues to approach.
Yeah, a lot of fantastic junglers in the league. Razork doing so well on Fnatic
true.
as well. But yeah, I mean, these two junglers getting to know each other very well this year, it seems, as Rogue and G2 go against each other in these best of 5s, of course. I'll hold my thought for a second as Malrang finds Jankos.
He's going to jump into Caps as well. Really good engage. Caps has to flash away. Jankos looking for a bit of damage. Malrang forced away. Flashes the piercing arrow as well. That was smart. I think that would have been enough damage to take him down.
Trade Flash actually benefits Rogue in this scenario because Larson will have setup at 6. Caps will have setup as well, but Larson will have the flash to respond, right? So now mid lane has just become really volatile. Two champions that maybe don't interact that much because of their range and how they want to scale, but in terms of kits to avoid ganks, Caps doesn't have anything left now. He just needs to sit under his tower and give up the push. He doesn't even have TP. I think he might even need Jankos to come towards mid so he can catch this wave, because if Larson slow stacks this, he could solo kill him at 6 now.
6. Jankos hovering around. Ward dropped, so Larson has information. Caps now getting level 6 does make the dive that much harder. But overall, really good play from Malrang. He really forced that gank. He ran over 2 control wards and he still ran into mid lane. I think his main goal was to help Larson actually push in the wave so they can get it underneath the tower so that Larson can get a better base off. But it ends up benefiting Rogue way better than they initially planned. and overall a good use of the W to force the flash out from Caps. So well played by Rogue. The gold continues to be dead even. The bot lane struggling a little bit in the 2v2 matchup. Comp with a slightly shorter range. Difficult to be able to challenge, but now Malrang has his eyes on another game.
Comp with a good spell shield. It's going to get rooted though. Heal coming out from Trimby. Looking at that shield as well. Malrang with the flank position here. Targamas stepping forward. He's ignited, has flash heal. Will he be able to get away? Malrang looking for Flackett instead. Targamas pops the heal to try and get away. The root coming out. Last embrace. Trimby. We've got a pounding projectile. Yes, Flackett has to flash away. Targamas still has the flash. Do you pop the honey fruit? He manages to get away anyway.
That's so much miscommunication from Rogue there. I think they got a bit greedy, and Malrang said, okay, this Senna's probably dead. I'll go for Seraphine and get her flash, but they could have just taken the free kill there. Rogue blundered a bit. Yes, they got all their summoners out, but that should have been first blood.
It certainly should have been. I agree with you, K-Troll. Overall, Rogue made a bit of a blunder there. Still, small advantage gain for them. Won't net any significant gold advantage. On the cross map, you can see Jankos stealing away these top camps. The pings have already come down from Malrang. He said, yeah, my jungle camps have gone. Perhaps there's a window here where he could go for the blue, but of course the risk is with Flackett and Targamas coming back out onto the map where they can interrupt him. So instead, for the time being, he's just going to secure his reds, and Jankos is going to get a small win in the jungle matchup.
Yeah, good play by Jankos, trying to punish Malrang on the other side of the map. He's hit level 6 now. If he can blow Larsen's flash, that'll help Caps out a hell of a lot when it comes to this laning phase. He's got Targamas to cover him. He's playing with compliments of the jungle support around. Herald up in 20. Jankos is going to base, go towards his red, and look to start that up, I imagine. I mean, we saw last game both supports roaming topside for 4v4s, but the only problem that Rogue have now is they have a Yuumi. So Trimby needs to join someone if he's going to go for those 4v4s. So for now, G2 should have the numbers advantage topside. We'll keep our eyes on Targamas as this early game continues.
Caps' flash already 2/3 of the way back off cooldown. Haven't really been able to punish that too much. Has meant that he has to play a bit safer in the lane. It means that you see Targamas shadowing him a little bit here just in case something happens, but able to survive without that summoner for a while. Flackett forced away here, but Seraphine very good at long-range farming. The wave not in the best of states for him, as Comp and Trimby will cull it just a little bit, but that wave is actually going to start bouncing back towards G2 because of Comp's auto attacks there. So for the moment, G2 very happy with that state of affairs down towards the bottom side of the map.
See Targamas with the rotation up. Means that G2 do have the numbers advantage, but the pings are coming down from Rogue. They want to be able to contest. Caps looking to get the push in mid, and here they go.
Caps still no flash. Malrang looking for him. Chain of corruption goes down. Malrang with the knocker though, and Caps nowhere to go. First blood over the Rogue.
There's the weakness of Varus mid. Super immobile, and against the Azir, it's good on range, but you can get punished quite easily. Jankos will secure this Herald for G2 in the meanwhile, so punishing G2 while they're on an objective is good, but Jankos still gets the objective he came for. First blood to the Azir though will sting a bit as the champ scales so well. Jankos will just catch this wave as Caps is back as I say that.
Larsen got saved a little bit by the...
We've all been the support in that situation. You throw out your hook, you throw out your last embrace, able to just dodge to the side of it because it's tanked up by a minion. Broken Blade trading with Odoamne towards the top side, but the minion wave will dissuade him from any further action.
Good stare down there by Odoamne. There was a threat of a Q flash from Broken Blade, the way he just Qs on top of himself, but Odo doesn't flinch, doesn't decide to flash. And I guess another piece of good news for G2 is Trimby and Comp were in bot 2v1 for the last minute and a half while Targamas has been roaming, but they just can't punish the Seraphine. They have no dive pressure. Yes, they can push her in, but Flackett's even in gold right now, so they've gone from Herald towards the Dragon, and they're going to secure 2 neutral objectives before 10 minutes, despite losing that first blood.
G2 is chilling right now. They know that they scale really well, and overall, we're going to look back at this play. I'm sure Larsen would have loved to have gotten Targamas in there as well, given that he had no summoners. This could have been an easy double kill. But they'll take the kill onto Caps. We talked so much about this Varus in the mid, the weaknesses the champ does have. Caps' flash is now back up though, still ahead in CS. A little bit behind in terms of gold. But G2, given that they secured the Herald, they secured the Dragon, they're chilling. The top lane matchup hasn't really been punished on the side of Rogue, which means that Broken Blade is going to continue to scale up. Flackett has not been punished. He's in fact ahead in CS, even though he's in a 2 versus 1. Likely has a small experience advantage as well. Level 6s have come out all across the board. With no real objective on the map to play for, it's unlikely that we'll see any big fights in the near future. You just have to keep your eyes on what Jankos wants to do with this Rift Herald. Where will he look to put it? Will they look to try and throw it down mids to try and make it weaker to be able to siege against Nazir? Perhaps they want to make a rotation up to one of the side lanes to try and open that up and then unlock one of their side lanes onto the rest of the map. Jankos has a lot of freedom and options here, depending on what they want to do.
Very slow game indeed, but we know that games like this always explode out of nowhere. We saw it last time from G2 in game 1, where one pick just leads to so many towers because of the pace that they have on the map, the tempo that they have on the map. Right now, it's very even. Odo's looking for Jankos.
Jankos has splash and should have the decoy here as well. Pops a Cyclone to try and get away. will be able to get to the blast cone and escape back towards his crux. Second cycling doesn't really do too much.
Yeah, but now they have some pressure topside. Malrang's gonna run up here and try to cut off Broken Blade, maybe force some kind of dive. Trimby's joined up with his jungler. Now that leaves Comp alone on an island on this bot side, so he can't actually catch the wave. For now, it looks like he's been zoned away. Are they gonna dive this?
Broken Blade pops the World Ender immediately. They back away, realizing they don't want to dive it any further. That's the ultimate down for the G2 top laner. He'll back away now, knowing that his World Ender will be on cooldown. He puts a ward near where the Krugs are, so he can stay around. Yeah. He knows Malrank has left the vicinity.
Yeah, loses the ult, not the end of the world, and Comp will just catch this bot wave. It looks like G2 don't have any dive pressure, and it just allows Malrank to run from top to mid, and now he's running bot. Targamas has sums up, but he's kind of running around the map right now, Malrank. Maybe they can look for a shovel here.
Ooh. They could look for it, but Caps holds on to the flash, doesn't even get caught.
Wow, Caps ice in his veins. Knew exactly the limits of that Azir ult, doesn't even hesitate.
Impressive stuff, because if nothing else, Larssen just wants his flash, right? He'll trade the ult for the flash any day of the week. But Caps, very confident. Of course, he has been having a phenomenal playoff, similar to what we saw from him last split. Now G2 have their eyes on top lane. Great wave clear from Odo Omne. The Herald will be dropped. They will funnel a little bit of gold. Keeping my eyes on Malrank right now. He's hovering on the top river, and Yanko's immediately going to disengage from that one. No way for Odo Omne to be able to get the kill.
I think the eye opened up again. If he just didn't actually auto-attack and had an auto-buffer already, maybe could have stopped that, but regardless, there's the plays over G2. And like you said, Vedia's Malrang was around to try and punish. Trimby's going to go back towards the bot side.
Comp realizes he doesn't...
That's annoying.
Can't be in the shop anymore, is able to get away though. And guys, it has been a slow game, and it feels like both teams are very happy with the game in this sort of state. You know, Comp is scaling up on this Sivir. He's building up towards that Mythic. If he can get a couple of items under his belt with a Yuumi on his shoulders, he can shred through team fights. But how do we feel those team fights are going to go? Because in the last game, Rogue had a strong AD carry, but we're never really able to get close enough to G2. Do you think that's going to happen again here?
Well, I'm still concerned about Rogue's engage. Some key differences are Sivir's ultimate. The additional movement speed will make it easier to close the gap. Malrang is slightly more reliable in terms of his engage compared to a Sejuani, because Sejuani's ultimate can miss. But I still prefer overall G2's comp when it comes to team fighting. I think that each of their champions scale incredibly well relative to their opposition. I feel like they have so much utility, they have so much range still, and they have so much, they have CC, I guess is the word, at their disposal. I think that the fights will just inherently be harder for Rogue. I'm happy to be proven wrong based on how Rogue play these team fights, but I'm a lot more confident in G2's comp as we get later on into the game.
40 seconds on that Dragon, maybe we see a glimpse of those team fights to come. Broken Blade's gonna force Odo back, he's gonna TP back up to that top lane and catch the wave. Mythic's now being complete across the board. Nashor's Tooth on Caps. First items for everyone. Malrank's building a little bit of everything, going towards that Kempan Chain Sword. Of course, they have got a little bit of healing, and the item has good stats for its cost, despite the changes in the nerfs and the increase in cost. G2 setting up bot side vision around this Dragon. They want to secure this and play for the soul. See if Rogue want to respond though, because no TP's top means it would be a 4v4, and Comp gonna crash this bot wave. G2 on the way down.
It's a cannon wave, so G2 should be able to get here in time. Blackett can use the beat drop to clear out a bit of the wave at least, and then can catch the rest of it as it pushes forward. And it does look like Rogue wants to take this fight from G2. Already started up that Dragon. Yanko's gonna pull it out.
Broken Blade first to move. Rogue just have to pull this off. I don't think they can take this fight. The second they see Broken Blade on mid-wave, I think they're just gonna have to back away unless they can get a smite and get out quickly. The longer the fight goes on, the worse it is for Rogue.
Looking for the Audacious charge forward. Don't take it. G2 with their second Dragon of the game. 15 minutes in, it's 1-0, but G2 with those early stacking drakes, or mid-timed stacking drakes. Not the earliest, but they're okay, you know, they'll be 25 minutes or so.
Good play by G2, yeah, but Rogue, no cross-map, no Herald start, no vision topside, no threat of a top dive, so they just kind of watched him take the Dragon.
It feels a bit muted from Rogue sometimes. It's like they kind of did Cinema League of Legends for a while. They're like, okay guys, grab your popcorn, grab your Maltesers, get yourself a shake. We're just gonna watch them take this Dragon for a couple of minutes. Trailers were good.
Yeah.
I hear Cap stars in this one, guys.
They're writing the ratings while they're rating.
1 out of 10. Wouldn't get Dragon taken from me again.
The only bright side for Rogue is that now they have, well, they get to be first on the Rift Herald, but Flacket has TP. Of course, it is awakened now because we passed the 14-minute mark. But you already see the TP into the mid lane, which means that the collapse is already coming through from G2. Rogue is trying to attack the flank in Broken Blade, and it looks like they're going to get it.
Flash in, Ruthless Predator stun, and Broken Blade down. Rogue with a great pick there. Caps, though, trying to close off here. Jankos going for comp. Good spell shield from comp. No Cyclone used. G2 could still look to try and battle this one. Riptail taken, though, by Rogue means that Jankos won't be there in time to contest, and Rogue will get their first neutral objective of the game.
No hesitation from Rogue there. Yes, they may have been sloppy in cross maps and trying to contest objective that they had no business in doing, but decisive around the objective they do decide to go for. Now Rogue need to defend mid.
Marang, Crescent Guard, trying to get out. Blast Cone used as well. Marang will flash. Charm coming out across two members as Oda One. They will fall. Flacker takes him. It was Jankos waiting in the bush that caught Rogue unaware.
Every time we see a good play from Rogue, we see a better one from G2. They had control over the mid wave. They knew that they had numbers advantage, given that Larson had rotated up towards top, and then Jankos very cleverly sits in this bush waiting for the rest of Rogue to collapse. It was looking a little bit sketchy initially, but he always had the flash. He knew he had the utility provided by Flackhead and Targamas, which meant they were able to get that kill onto Oda One, and that top lane tower still has not fallen.
No towers are fallen just yet on either side. Top tower extremely low for both sides. Caps and Larson going to match each other towards that top side as both teams try to get some top side vision to ensure the push. Herald in Rogue's favor. They can use it on any of these towers to break that first brick.
It's a strange one because, as you rightly said, the gold is pretty much even, the kills are pretty much even, but it feels like the G2 are just finding more advantages on the map. And like, this was a great play from Rogue. They do convert this into the Herald, but then look at how G2 respond. They force comp back. They know that he's basically isolated underneath this tower, and G2 with the pressure that they have in mid, and Jankos cleverly positioning himself right here, means that they're able to force this fight and come out on top. And again, it's one of those situations where every time Rogue is doing something or making something happen, it always feels like G2 is just getting that bit more elsewhere on the map.
Kind of projectile here onto Caps. There's the final chapter. Caps has to flash away. Chain of Corruption used in case Marang did dash forward, but doesn't connect. Rogue able to get the summoner out of the mid lane.
Anything you can do, I can do better. Rogue now going to get this top tier one. They have Herald for a bot power as well, so this gold lead should start to go in their favor.
Yeah, and this is a big deal for Rogue. They of course do still have the Herald who's taking throwdown mid to crack that tower open, get a little bit more control over the map. And as I said, it's a weird one because it, objectively, when you look at the score, when you look at the gold, when you look at everything, you're sitting there thinking, Rogue's not in a bad spot at all. But it definitely feels much worse for Rogue, given the scaling of the composition that G2 have and how overall G2 is being proactive in the way they're playing the map right now.
Still need to see it in action though. I mean, they have great follow-up. Varus ult on a Seraphine ult on a Senna ult, right? Everything will land on the chain. Jankos can disturb the backline. Just need to see how much DPS they can actually get out. How fast can they get this front line out? How much range can Rogue use to actually nullify that? And how well can Comp play these fights? We haven't really seen Comp too much this series. Of course, game one, there was not much he could do, but now on this Sivir, he's been farming up. He's up 500 gold, 215, 16 CS now towards the 19-minute mark. We'll have 2 items, just with no flash, it becomes a lot harder against the Wukong.
A lot of people looked at him as one of the all-pro players from the regular season, one of the best AD carries in the league. Unforgiven, obviously, up there alongside him. And here at 2 items with the Phantom Dancer, Kraken Slayer complete, that Sivir can do a lot of work, especially with the ricochets. You have to watch out for the ricochets in fights. They can absolutely shred through any lineup. The difficulty for Rogue is how do you find those fights? We talked about it. Engage is a little bit lacking. Whether or not they can actually get onto the backline, whether or not if they do get onto the backline, they can get through a Seraphine and a Senna healing up the entirety of G2 is a question that is still yet to be answered.
30 seconds on Dragon. Flackhead's going to base. He's going to TP back in. Has a blasting one to pick up. Mid-wave is going to be contested. Looks like Broken Blade's going bot, so maybe he goes through bot and threatens this bot tier one before he joins the rest of the team. Maybe he can find a flank angle. There's the Herald mid. Now G2 have a lot of single target damage lockdown. If Malrang walks up or Larson, they can land the chain ultimate. Of course, the Zinza ult will stop a lot of that damage. But their objective here, Rogue, is Dragon. They're just forcing G2 to respond. Now they're going to walk into River, and they're probably going to start it up. Now, what position can G2 get? Comp is no flash. G2 are probably screaming that in comms, and Jankos will be looking for him.
Targets and Flackhead have to go the long way around. Broken Blade actually first on the Dragon. Here you can see Odo catching the wave down towards that bottom side. Doesn't have flash to jump onto someone, but can, of course, slice and dice his way into the pit. Instead, he'll go round down towards the bottom side. Pincer maneuver as G2 started up the Dragon. Caps looking for Odo. Marang has Trimby on his shoulders. 5,000 HP on the Dragon. It resets. Rogue continue to prod and to poke and to see if they can find a way in here. Odo's going to go all the way around to join his team. Jankos won the smite in the last game. Can he win this one again? It looks like it's going to be a 50-50. Jankos has flash to get away. Marang gets it down to 3,000. Broken Blade going forward. Jankos looking for the Cyclone. The Dawning Shadow coming out as well, and Jankos lands the Cyclone on 3, but immediately he's stunned up, blocked up, and dead. Marang with the Crescent Guard will keep himself alive. That Dragon down to 2,000. Yumi on his shoulders. The damage on the last one is huge. But Rogue able to dash away. Marang trying to escape as well. Won't get in today. G2 secure the Dragon.
The poke was incredible.
Unbelievable, unbelievable damage from G2. They lose their jungler, yet still walk away with the dragon.
Yeah, Jankos goes in, and he knows Comp has no flash, but he goes a little bit too deep. The Sentinel's good for the shield, but he just gets melted from the stun from Odo. So then turned into a 4v5 stare down as Malrang flashes out. G2 have the confidence to continue. Watch this arrow from Caps. Boom, straight through Larson and Odo. Takes 50% of their health bars. They're forced out, and then that just means you have to give the objective up.
Yeah, and Malrang, he used his W to try and get a bit of poke out. If he used it over the wall onto the Drake, maybe there was a world where he could go over and steal it, but G2, they walk away with 3 dragons. They, of course, are still behind in gold, but this is kind of what I was talking about, why the game feels so weird. Rogue are definitely not in a bad position, but it feels like that these fights are just very hard to play.
Caps is showing us what would have happened if Legos decided to be a mage. Just like, 1 arrow straight through the eye of Sauron, takes down.
Wise words of Gimli. Still only counts as 1.
Would have made the movies a lot shorter as well, wouldn't it?
And we wouldn't have got the surfing scene on the shield.
Oh,
where he
yeah,
surfs
yeah.
down. That was in the books, you know.
Never read the books, but love the films.
It would, yeah. You should definitely read the books. Lord of the Rings series, very good.
Books. What game is Medic? Come on.
The only book we know is Medjai's. And Amplifying Tome, obviously.
The live Netflix adaptation, obviously. Anyway, let's have a look back at the match state right now, because as you can see, G2, they're in a pretty comfortable position still. Even though Rogue have the tower advantage, they have the gold advantage, it's difficult for Rogue to really push any deeper into the enemy jungle right now. There are, of course, no neutrals on the map for them to be able to really play for. We're waiting for the next dragon in 3.5 minutes. The Baron is, of course, up. But both sides continuing to scale for the time being. Comp slowly working towards that Infinity Edge, as G2 now moving to the topside river and contest this mid tower.
I think Rogue have just said we're not going to get mid push ever. It's a bit too difficult right now with Comp having no flash. Let's play for side push. Larson will push out top, force Caps to respond, then he will move mid, and that's how Rogue can keep juggling these lanes and contesting Prio. G2 just getting a little bit of defensive vision. What they want to do now is just stall, wait for that Infernal Soul and take the next fight. They're only going to get stronger. All they really need to do, G2, is just play safe and stop Rogue from doing this right here. Doing a Baron. They need vision on it. They're 2-manning it right now with Comp on mid-wave. G2 actually have no idea. We'll see if Jankos
has no wards.
No wards on Jankos.
No way,
Targamas
Targamas has to come across.
No ward
He's got
across.
2 wards on that support item. Puts 1 in. 8,000
Very
HP
slow.
on it. Stopped. Marang getting chunked out by it as well means that Rogue will just back away. And I will say, Kadril, I think you kind of cursed us earlier today. We were talking about combined kills per minute across all of the regions, and LEC are sitting at the top in playoffs. I think it was per game, yeah, 31 kills, was it, per game?
Playoffs.
We've had 4 in 24 minutes.
We have,
and we've had a few fights as well. It's just no one dies at the end of those
But
fights.
This is why I'm mad at Renekton.
You're mad at
Because
Renekton.
if this was an Ornn,
yeah.
like, think about how different that Dragon plays. And, like, this is the same issue that I have with Rogue's Comp compared to last game, is, like, when you're playing against a lot of range, you need something that can get onto the back line. Right? You just need something to make it easier for the rest of your team to get there. Because right now, it's all on Malrang. He has to basically be the initiation for Odo to follow up. And it's very awkward unless Odo can find a flank. And we saw in the last fight how Caps was basically just sitting, watching the flank, making sure that Odo wouldn't be able to do it. So Rogue find themselves in this very tricky situation where it's now even harder for them to find a pick compared to last game because they don't have that Sejuani ultimate. And I think that I don't know how Rogue is going to be able to do it. I'd love to be proven wrong, but I'm very concerned right now for Rogue in terms of how they actually get onto Flak and Targamas and how they stop them from doing what they've been doing so far this series.
The most important thing right now is Comp and his Infinity Edge. It's 1 minute on the Dragon. If he can get these mid-waves, get Raptors, get absolutely anything and get that third item, then I think Rogue still have a chance. So about 200-300 gold off, so he needs another wave at least before he can complete it. Then he's going to have to run back out on the map, and then they're going to have to contest the setup, which G2 should be first to if he does have to base. So we'll keep our eyes on Comp and his items for now, because that's exactly what Rogue are saying. They want to stall for that. Maybe a Larson Banshee's TP back would be ideal as well. Get the 3-item spikes for this Dragon, deny it from G2 and keep the game going. That's the state that Rogue wants to be in.
Gotta look for that Dragon. 42 seconds on it. Rogue will want to fight. G2 get the mid lane prio. Caps coming to join the rest of his team. Broken Blade up towards the top side does have the TP. Rogue, they're looking to do to G2 what G2 did to them after that Rift Herald play. Set up a bait bush, see if you can pull G2 into a bad situation.
Comp won't have it in time. You can't base 20 seconds before a Dragon, especially when you have setup. So
how much gold is he sitting on Medic?
Yeah, needs this just get this wave and base for it, but he doesn't have time. I mean, Flak is just going to TP back. They're going to go through bot here, G2, not even going to contest the mid push, and Rogue cannot give this up. They have to win the Smite fight at the very least. Otherwise, an Infernal Soul, Varus poke, Seraphine, Aatrox. It's going to make the game incredibly hard.
One of the big differences this fight compared to last fight is Odoamne does have the flash this time around.
Comp 2.
Everyone has their summoner spells on both sides.
Broken
Here comes Broken Blade. Keep your eyes on it.
Malrang
flashes in.
forward, final chapter. Cap's going to flash away. The encore coming in. Hits onto Malrang. Crescent Guard going to keep him alive. The Cyclone Go goes to the back line as well. Rogue trying to retreat. All out of the retreat. Comp takes one. Already Broken Blade is down. Rogue restart the Dragon. G2 backing away. Cap still looking for the damage from long range. But the healing and the shielding from that Yuumi is enough. The slide in. Immediate start onto Larson. Pops a stopwatch. Yuumi dodges off his shoulders. Flash away by Larson. Dragon still aggro. TP coming back in by Odoamne. He had to retreat and rejoin this fight.
The poke misses. Larson still has ult. He was looking for a shuffle, but I think Flakked rooted him as he went for it. The root's going to miss onto Comp. It's a 4v5. G2 could lose the entire game here if they tried to contest that, and they're going to smartly back away. Rogue win the fight and they get the Dragon.
The biggest blunder there was Broken Blade diving onto the backline. G2's biggest strength is their range, and Rogue saw an opportunity to tear that apart. They get the kill onto Broken Blade, they secure themselves the Drake, and they're still in this game.
Oh, such a stressful fight for both teams. If Odo fell here, I think G2 might have just won the game. Let's watch Odo's health bar as the fight progresses, because you're completely right, Betty, as Broken Blade goes deep, but Odoamne does a similar sort of thing, trying to look for a disengage, and now watch his HP bar. So incredibly low by the burst of Caps, but it just lives, so he can TP back and make it a 5v4, and then Larson here tries to go in, but I think it's the root from Flakked that stops him. Whew. I think that was a flash ult right there.
Crazy, crazy, crazy. You know, that's Merktread's value from Odoamne if I've ever seen it. And the fact that he was able to just flash out there, the damage from G2.
And steel Caps.
Wait, oh my god, it doesn't even have it. Wow, oh my god.
Legend tenacity in the runes.
Now, I think Rogue are going to put their foot on the gas.
Would have been much better,
Rogue's going to speed this game up now, because with a Varus and a Seraphine and a Senna no flash, and you have things like a Renekton and a Azir, a Sivir ult with a Yuumi, they need to start Baron and turn if they want to find a way back into this game, because yes, you could stall till the next Dragon, but do you really want to just risk this game on a 5v5? I think they should start forcing.
Well, Rogue really tried to pull off one sneaky Baron in this game, didn't work for them, but as you say, they want to put their foot down on the gas and try and accelerate this game away from G2. G2 still in a strong position. They have 3 items on their Seraphine. Caps is sitting at 2.5 with that Riftmaker and the Nash's Tooth, and we've seen what that poke can do, but the healing from the Yuumi with the Moonstone seems to be starting to overcome some of that poke. Tower will fall in the mid lane. G2's third of the game. Gold even between these two teams as we get towards that 30-minute mark.
I do think it's quite interesting, the itemization differences we see between Larson and Caps when it comes to the Azir. When we watch Caps play, he is playing Crown into then full damage, whereas from Larson, he's actually running the Ludens into then more defensive options.
It feels like Crown would be pretty awful this game though, right? Because you just get it poked off immediately.
I mean, for sure. It's just interesting in how they different approach, because I think that Caps' whole philosophy is the way he uses Crown is I'm going into melee range
and
to do as much damage as possible.
I have that window of less damage.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas Larson is a lot more about playing back, leveraging his front line to then try and chip away at his opposition, and then trying to be a lot more defensive and making sure that he stays alive throughout the entire fight. We'll see if Larson is able to dish out the needed damage to be able to come out on top. 4-1 of the kills. The gold is pretty much dead even. G2 still find themselves at soul point. You can see the poke damage that has come out from Caps has been astronomical.
And Comp's never been in a position to dish out the damage the way Sivir would, which is you hit a front line and the ricochets bounce and they bounce and they bounce and they bounce, and people get chipped away at by the Sivir. I was wondering whether Comp was topping those damage charts, but Poke at the moment beating out consistent DPS when it comes to these team fights.
So now Rogue actually have position in mid and top side. They have vision, they have Odoamne up here, they have QSS on Comp, ready for that Varus ult or a Seraphine ult or some kind of Senna route if it lands onto him. I think this is their window to take this top side vision and look for a start. They should have flash timers. They know they have about a 15 to 30 second window. If they don't take this window, then they're going to have to wait for the next Dragon. I don't think they can force a Baron when G2 have all their sums up, and it looks like that window's closed.
5 seconds on the flash from Flakked. 5 seconds on the heal from Trimby. The heal coming up to target almost at exactly the same time as Trimby's. Now both those heals are back up and available. 3 seconds on the flash from Malrang. Summoner spells slowly coming their way back online. Dragon spawns in about 1.5 minutes. Items continue to be completed, and ultimately this game will be decided by the fights. And it's funny because I feel like a lot of these fights are very awkward for both sides.
Yeah. It's just not conventional team fights, right? Like usually we, especially at the moment, we're used to AD carry hits the front line for a while, other AD carry hits the front line for the while. They both jump away from anyone that dives.
Both ults,
exactly.
Sivir, Zeri, they do the zoomy zooms. Like it's That's typically what we're used to seeing, but now it's all about the poke battle almost. Which top laner is going to sacrifice themselves first to be able to get in range? The junglers are both, well, while being tanky, incredibly squishy. It's a tense one for sure.
It's a poke battle, but it's also a flank battle because now Broken Blade has GA. If he can buy time for his team while they can start to step forwards, you know, if Varus can step up and have the confidence in the space to ult flash onto an Azir and Q, he's basically dead. Luckily for Larssen, he has things like the Zhonya's to negate a lot of that, but you get the idea, right? If Broken Blade can start buying time on flanks, or if Odoamne can flank Flakked and force him out of a fight so they split up, that's what a flank causes. It causes your team to split up. And once you're split up in this comp of G2, that's when Rogue can start to pick you apart. They need to stay together, go through bot together, stay behind Jankos, and maybe, just maybe, their range will help them in these fights. Larssen and Comp on those 3 item spikes this time around. We're setting up for round 2 of the Infernal Soul.
3 seconds on it. It's going to spawn in Infernal Chains. Dodged away by Odoamne there. He's got a Yuumi on his shoulder. A cat in the bag, it seems. It's G2 start up the Dragon once again. It's a similar playbook to every other time before. They might just look for the 50-50. They might just look for the smite fight. Broken Blade on it right now. Jankos down to 3,000 HP. Malwang kept to arm's length. The final chapter coming out. Jankos gets it! Infernal Soul secured. And now Odoamne diving into the back line is already dead. G2 can open up, but Broken Blade needs that GA to bring him back. Cats, what poke you got? You're in a 4v3 situation right now until that GA brings back Broken Blade. The slide in by Larssen, but he only catches Broken Blade. That's one. Stopwatch coming out as well. Malwang low. He's going to pop a stopwatch of his own. Comp trying to get in with the damage, but Comp will fall. Targamas and Flakked versus 3 from Rogue. Malwang rooted up, Malwang healed. The healing from the Yuumi is absurd, but so is Targamas. A triple for Seraphine, and G2 come out on top.
It's only the supports that live. 8 members die in total, but the most important thing is that G2 get the Infernal Soul, and the Senna might just get this bot tier 2. The Yuumi has no one to hug onto, no one to hold onto. She just has to watch this bot tower fall. So many clutch plays came through, but that smite may have just won them the game.
What chaotic team fighting by Jankos. He just comes up clutch. He's done it multiple times this series, being able to secure these smites. If we can get a slow-mo observers just as Jankos and Malrang contest for this dragon, I'd love to see how low it gets. Because here we go. Oh my god, so did the smite come out early? It looked like a huge chunk of damage down to 500 HP. Jankos then secures it. We see Odoamne dive onto the backline. He gets melted. Jankos is the same. He then gets melted. And then at this position, you think Rogue, they can win the team fight.
Let's watch Larssen in slow-mo as well, because, I wonder what happened with his flash there. He did use it. I wonder if he tried to predict them, but I'm not actually sure which direction the flash went in. I don't know if his full WEQ went off, but then it was just Targamas and Flakked versus 3, and they decided to go for Flakked over Targamas. Could have been a mistake. Flakked only had 1 combo left of mana, but that was enough to get a double from the Leandris, I believe, and the damage from Targamas.
Yeah. Oh my god, the bot lane from G2. I can't believe that it was 2 supports that ended up living at the end there. That's just the damage from the last fight, and you can see that Rogue is definitely not lacking in that department, but Odoamne may be losing his life.
Broken Blade looking for the chase here. World Ender popped. Odo still has flash. Maybe G2 don't know that he still has the flash from the last fight. He will burn it to get away from the chain of corruption and escape. Manages to
Baron?
avoid death.
Targamas got the as well.
They TP in. Odo can just join this.
No TP for Broken Blade.
They know that G2 all on the bottom side. Caps doesn't have TP either as G2 need to try and answer. Jankos looking for the steal. Already got 2 so far this series. Instead, he looks for Odoamne, takes him out. Jankos able to escape as well somehow. Now can he dive back in? Doesn't have the flash, doesn't have the decoy. But that Baron is low. Taken by Malwang. Rogue start to retreat. Malwang will sacrifice himself to try and get the rest of his team out, but the Dawning Shadow will stop the ports. Larssen dodging across, diving across. Comp caught out. 3 members of G2 here, but Comp just opens up the boomerangs. Absolutely melt. Rogue get 3 Barons out alive.
Yeah, G2 had no ults to chase with. They use Senna ult aggressively.
Waiting.
They might look for a pick here, Rogue, but Comp throws the boomerang and gives away the play. So, Rogue lose 2 members. They take down Jankos, but they get away with a Baron.
I don't know what's going on in this game, boys. Really good awareness there from Rogue. Odoamne being massive bait in the bot lane allows Rogue this window. But I was worried for Rogue. The second Odoamne dropped, I thought that G2 was just going to dominate that fight. But let's keep our eyes on how this fight played out.
Odoamne's HP bar gets taken incredibly low, and he does fall, but Jankos gets stunned just before he dies, so that forces him to W away, and I think Malrang screaming at Larssen here, finish, 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 because they know Jankos is low and he has to recover from Senna, and Seraphine gets it in time. Malrang no flash, and let's watch Targamas here as he falls. He tries to snipe them with his ult to stop recalls, but Larssen dashes over the wall, and then they think they can chase Comp, but it's only Jankos and Caps, and we saw Caps use the ultimate in bot looking for Odo. He can't really offer much.
Wukong used the W to actually close the gap onto Comp. They think they can close that one out, but no one was close enough to Jankos. Jankos didn't really have anything, so he ended up losing his life. Rogue walk away with 3 Barons off the back of that. The gold is dead even, but honestly, at this point, it doesn't really matter. It all comes down to the execution of these team fights. The Elder spawns in 2 minutes' time. Can Rogue use this Baron to take any more of the map away from G2?
It's going to be hard to look for any towers. I don't think they can overcommit past the river right now. I think Rogue's best option is the Elder fight. Of course, it doesn't matter what soul you have, doesn't matter how many items you have. If they get Elder, they're going to win the fight. So G2 will be on the back foot for a little bit, playing defense, clear the waves, which will be baroned up. Maybe Rogue can look for a top tier 2 to rotate into, but it's not really worth it at this point in the game. The gold doesn't really matter. It's all about setup vision and not getting caught out. And Rogue keeps setting up traps. G2 own the bot side. Rogue own the top side. It's a stare down.
Larssen has just finished his Rabadon's death cap as well. A little bit of gold that matters there in the mid lane. No Rabadons yet. The Caps still only sitting on a single needlessly large rod. Caps to get that Rabadon's that poke hurts even more, but he instead decided Void Star first to deal with some of the magic resist that's coming out from Rogue. You can see Force of Nature on Odo, Malrang, of course with the Merc Treads as well. Makes a lot of sense to get that. Rogue though, as they own the top side with the Baron buff, can just push in.
Need to be careful though, they have 1 minute on this Elder. If they get caught out topside and they get chased down and G2 have an angle on this Dragon, it's just going to get rushed down, so they shouldn't stay here for too long.
Spell should use, there's the root, the Encore coming out as well. Jankos gets in! The shutdown! The slide away with the Emperor's Divide keeps Larssen alive for the moment as he dodges away. Do you look to turn this one around? The Sun Disc coming out, stopwatch from Larssen. Broken Blade keeping the rest of Rogue busy off towards the side, and Jankos claims his second of the fight. They overstepped, they overstayed, and they were punished. Slapped down by G2, TP to the bottom lane.
And just like that, in the blink of an eye, G2 might just end this game out of nowhere. There's a reason G2 has been to 10 finals. There's a reason that they have 9 titles, and they're gonna punish any mistake you make. G2 pushing onto the Nexus.
Comp's flash was 10 seconds away, but while it is up, your team is not. The TPs are coming through from G2. Only Odoamne stands in the way of putting G2 to match point.
First Nexus tower with the target, Odoamne trying to survive here, has the Yuumi on his shoulder. But that cat will not help you with that. G2 take a decisive win in the top lane and take us to match point.
1 game away from the finals, G2. Really good execution on that top fight. Comp just overstepping a little bit, very low range AD carry with Dragon spawning. The comps must have been really hectic from Rogue. Dragon spawning, do we siege this top tier 3? G2s seem pretty smooth and sailing. Just go straight onto this Sivir.
I mean, you called it. One small mistake and G2 are going to look to pounce on it, and just like that, they saw Comp take 1 too many hits. The range really hurt him there. He was trying to get hits down onto the tower. He overstepped ever so slightly, and that small mistake was immediately blown up into a massive teamfight win for G2.
Must be a really frustrating game for Rogue there as well, because yes, you gave over the soul, so the game felt really almost out of your hands because of how much power it gives you, the enemy team. But with Dragon, Elder in 1 minute, and you have control of the map with Baron, you can set up and actually get a good team fight.
Yeah, but it felt like they had the Baron, they knew they had a temporary buff, and they wanted to accelerate the game.
Yeah.
You said they needed to put their foot on the gas a little bit. They were trying to do that, and all it takes is a misstep against this comp. They have so much CC, so much lockdown. They've got the slows from the Rylai's, from the Seraphine on top of that. It just becomes so difficult for Rogue to play out those comps, and now we have to see what Rogue's next answer is, because they picked the Azir, that was answered by the Varus, didn't really change too much, but that Seraphine center bot lane is causing them problems.
I think they go back blue side again and first pick Azir, run it back. I don't think there's too much to read into this Varus pick. They seem to be able to shut it down through lane phase. The biggest question I have is the Renekton. Is the Renekton really worth this much prio?
It's not.
It was the same last week as well.
I think the answer is no for Rogue. The Azir, the Varus pick didn't seem to do that much this game. Yes, it had a lot of poke, but it didn't seem like a game-deciding pick.
Agreed,
and I really feel like it was the Senna Seraphine that was the biggest problem.
Okay, guys, I have to hand it over to the analyst test, but do we think they're sitting or standing? Kadril?
Standing.
Ready? I'm going to say standing because it might be the final game. Shox, Treat, Skullborg, take it away. Standing by at the analyst desk.
Kind of. I guess we were actually sitting. We were actually sitting. G2, though, they are standing up in this series. It was all over very fast after what was quite a back-and-forth game in many aspects of it. I'd like to pick the talking point about the Seraphine and the Senna up for sure, but I also want to talk about the Varus just a little bit. I know it's been said, but Caps does love to play it, especially into Azir, but what's the setup in the runes?
So, I mean, it's just like, I feel like it's pretty standard in terms of what you get out of Varus. So you just go for that lethal, or not lethal tempo, but Halo Blades. Like, it's so quickly to just stack up your passive. When the passive is stacked up, well, then it's easy to get your spells through. Going for the Taste of Blood, yeah, it makes sense. Zombie Ward's just the best out you can get out of the rest of them, and having that ultimate on CD, yes, you need need it. Minion Determinalizer to get mid lane prior, so you can just sap a minion quickly, move first if you need to, and of course CDR is always what you want to go in the inspiration.
Yeah, and in general, I think the runes just help him sustain through early game, right? His early game gets so much stronger with this rune setup, and I think the AP Varus is kind of like a late game machine. When he has 3 items, he kind of one-shots on the ult. He didn't really do it this game, to be honest, but I think he did have some good ults which spread and added some extra CC.
And the context is just that Caps has played this a lot as solo queue, and especially into the Asir. Not only that, Larsen has also played it in solo queue and into the Asir as well, so this is a known pick. But in terms of what it actually did in this game, I don't think it did too much, and I know you've thought there was other responses that would have worked better.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that the Varus really made or break, make or break this game. I think they could have went for something like the Swain as well. Just anything that's kind of like a team fighty mage, I think would have been good.
As long as at a range, it would have been fine.
Yeah, and what sucks for Rogue in that context is that, like, okay, we now need to think about it, but it didn't really influence the game. It was many other things. Do you agree with what the casters there set up in terms of it's the Renekton that's an issue and the Prio on it, and also the bot lane?
I completely agree, because what happens when you have a Varus, if he played against Dawn, you can't go Varus here, because then all of a sudden there's long range engage, you have the Asir to follow up, but when you have the Renekton, that's why Varus wants to come through. Renekton hate playing against a range champion. Renekton hates playing against stuff that locks him down, and they just get to play around, sit on the backline, and pick and poke forever.
Yeah, I think the G2 comp is just very, very long range and very hard to deal with for Renekton. I think that, like, Rogue is trying to build a front-to-back comp, but then they have Renekton there. I don't really see the point. I think it does have a strong early game, obviously, but like the early game is not really a big point of talk right now. I think it's just down to the team fights, and Renekton is just not that strong there.
Yeah, all I've been hearing here today, but also in the rest of LEF, is range, 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 and just especially because obviously it's always important, but some teams really lacking in their draft comparatively. We need to move on, GB. I'd like to take a look at some team fights that I'll gladly give to you. G2 is dragon stacking rather. This is where it doesn't go well. So what changes from this one to the next one we're going to
Yeah, so I think this one is just a bit sloppy on all parts, even though Malron gets a really good engage, gets flashed out. Flacket ultimate barely does anything. You hold on to that here, that has way more value. The problem is BB gets instantly blown up as well by the rest of them. And this fight could have gone way worse had G2 not had a composition where you play so much range.
Yeah, and here you kind of see the weakness of the AP Varus, I think. Without the ult and without being able to stack a bunch of stacks and one-shot with the Q, I think the pick just doesn't have much value, right? So he misses his combo here on Malrang to maybe almost one-shot him here, I would say. Yeah. And then he just has no gas left in the tank, and they just have to kind of disengage it.
It's an easy comp to pylon when there's nothing punishing you, right? Because it's so sustainable as well, with the Senna heals, with the Seraphine heals on top of the shielding as well. And because of that, they're allowed to stick around and make small mistakes.
And I guess from the side of Rogue, the task is in that, okay, you can't allow them to get that healing in, so you need to one-shot someone, ideally. And we see that they can, right? And we've seen it, how powerful the Sivir can be also. But in the next fight, then G2 rectify the situation. So what goes better for them here, and what goes different on the side of Rogue, Treats?
I think in general, just G2, they don't want to mess up in the team fight, to be honest. Like, they just want to play it slow front to back and look for the angles with Jankos where they can one-shot someone. Yeah. So whenever you see them close together and they can just heal and shield and poke, that's when they drive.
And I think as well here, they play into the win condition. You see Renekton forced to walk up towards their face immediately. Once again, Flacket ultimate goes a bit wide here and doesn't turn on too many. It pops the Banshee as well. But it's still the fact that you can just sit on so long range, you can still sustain as you're talking about. And now with an Infernal Soul on top of that, matters just gets way worse for Rogue.
Yeah, I mean, Jankos went for the steal, right? So he kind of got isolated and died. So I think that gave an avenue back for Rogue in this team fight. I think they did have a good front to back here, right? The Azir was doing a lot of damage, the Sivir was doing a lot of damage, and it came down to this really clutch moment here where Flacket's Q just kills Q, I believe. So it was really down to the wire, and I said this as well in the desk or in the back room. Like, I've never seen a Yuumi survive a team fight, right? Yuumi as the sole survivor, that's a first for me.
That's crazy. That is a strong cat. We're going to take a look at the final fight as well, because I think Rogue showed signs of life, unfortunately, too late in this game, especially with the dragon stacking. They did manage to get a Baron after all as well, but here is where they overpush.
Yeah, I mean, Comp just doesn't have flash here, right? Like, I think if he has flash, it's fine to play this aggressive, but he's just getting caught out here. He has no...
4 versus 5.
Yeah, no flash 4 versus 5, and they have a bunch of roots on the side of G2, so I think it was just a big overstep here.
Yeah, and I also think just like when they get that Baron, I think that's a good indicator that Rogue are doing quite a few things right, despite matters not going too well for them. They are finding their windows, but they don't have the avenue to get much more out of that. And when it then comes to the team fighting, as you said yourself as well there, no flash on the Sivir, just easy to pick that up.
Sorry.
Bless you.
Thank you. The air conditioning. In any case, for Rogue with their backs against the wall, as you say, they do try to kind of problem solve in the situation, but it's not enough. They'll be on blue side once again. Before we dive into the discussion about the next game, Targamas this series, 3-0 and 23, 100% kill participation.
Second time in a row.
Yeah, which was funny because we, this is over the series. But we were talking about Broken Blade actually when we were watching the game, and he was like 0-3-0, 35 minutes into the game, but he finally got an assist, I think, or a kill.
Yeah, he got the last kill, I think. Yeah,
he got a
we
kill.
were like, nice
That's
one,
when I
BB.
knew it was over, when BB finally picked up a kill.
He finally
I knew
picked up a
G2 had
kill.
it.
So let's look at it then from the perspective of how does Rogue get back in this series. Now, we've seen them do well, right, in best of fives in terms of the full 5 games, fight back also versus Mad. But what do they need to change immediately, Treats?
I just really want them to have a strong 5v5 comp. Like, just drop the Renekton and ban the Senna, and then just have this kind of a Sivir Zeri trade. Just ban the Kalista as well to remove some explosiveness out of the side of G2, and I think, yeah, just a stable front to back. Just pick the Ornn maybe pick the Sejuani. Front line, back line, make it easy. I don't like this kind of half-half draft where they have a Renekton with Azir and Sivir. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, just a clear identity to make things easier, Thornton, right? So, I mean, there's not much more to say about it. It seems so simple, and it is. You need something that really gives you the power in the late game to facilitate when you finally get leads.
Yeah, and when it comes to the top lane pick, as Medic pointed out, it's also something that we saw last week from Rogue, right? The proficiency, which word am I looking for?
Yeah,
no native English speakers on the desk. Never mind. Yes, their preference for the Renekton. Speaking about Worlds, both of these teams, of course, have locked their spot already at Worlds, but you can do the same because registration for pre-sale tickets for Worlds 2022 is now open. Tickets for the most stagers are available starting September 6th for MasterCard holders, September 7th for verified fans, and September 8th for the general public. You can check out lolesports.com for more dates and details, and also how you can get that verified fan status. So, is G2 closing out the series in the next one? Yes or no?
Yes. I think so.
Yeah, okay, well, then that's fine. Right, we'll see if G2 is able to close it out or if Rogue can come back in this series. Please, Rogue, give us some more games, but we'll be back with Game 3 after the break.
I love this.
Lion! Oh yes, the king of the jungle. Time for a quick Red Bull?
Red Bull? But you still won't be quicker than the lion.
I don't have to be quicker than the lion, just quicker than you.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Over again, winning his matchup, taking control of this lane.
Incredibly impressive stuff, really inspirational.
And here we go, he's looking for something. What a move! This man is on fire!
That's the kind of play which makes me want to be on stage. Hold on.
Thank you so much for joining me. Tell me, how do you feel after making that play?
If you had it all, would you look the fall in the eyes? Could you walk away this time?
And welcome back to the LEC, where G2 are currently 2-0 up over Rogue. And if that spoiled you, I'm sorry you're watching the show. You know, it's live. It's a bit of a spoiler. You know, sometimes we have those.
I can't believe you felt the need to apologize for spoiling.
People get mad at me for spoiling stuff on the broadcast all the time. Pretty sure if I said Jesus dies in the Bible, someone would be like, mate.
I haven't read that part yet.
I just got to that chapter. No, players are coming back on stage, rehydrating, sitting down.
Hey, K-Draw.
Yeah.
Think fast.
That was very inappropriate.
Hey, Benny.
What is happening on this desk today?
I don't know, we're just in a good mood. We're vibing.
We are vibing.
G2 is at match point, I will admit. I was kind of expecting more from Rogue. I kind of thought that they might be able to upset the apple cart, but that has not happened.
No.
And I think, like, listen, you've got a tumultuous history with Renekton. I don't, so I can say these things, right? I don't hate Renekton as a pick.
Yeah.
I think that Renekton can make a lot of sense, and I also understand why some teams even blind pick it. But come on, right? Let's be honest. Renekton just isn't good into Senna Seraphines.
No, it isn't.
And I think it really hurts her ability to teamfight.
I'm a Renekton enjoyer as well, but I think in that Game 2 draft, I just think it doesn't fit the draft at all. I think Treats was hitting on it, where you have an Azir Sivir with a Renekton just feels off. It feels like it's not really fulfilling its duty so much because there wasn't that much topside skirmishing. It was more around mid and objectives, right? And the Renekton was building full tank after Blade anyway, so it just doesn't feel like it slots in very well when you have no gap close and your main gap close is an Azir looking for 2 shuffles, which both, one of them gets cancelled, the other one just basically whiffs.
And like Sion, Ornn, Sejuani, all these champs could all fulfill the same role in terms of just basically having a way of getting onto the backline. And like you pointed out backstage, when your only auto attacker is Senna, like tanks are just really effective at managing that and dealing with that.
They are.
So
music's playing though. So we're ramping up for Game 3 of this best of 5. G2 on match point to lock the finals. We talked a lot about tanks, we talked a lot about engage. Something Rogue could do is ban away Aatrox if they're really scared of it and then just go for the tank matchups. See if Sejuani goes through this time around. Jarvan ban we saw again. We see things like the Draven ban, the Poppy ban. Yuumi was left open though. We'll see if G2 want to change anything. I think they're pretty happy. I don't think G2 need to change anything at all.
Everything's been working for G2 so far. Poppy even moved, there's Jarvan taken away, as we say. Azir first pick is the assumption for Rogue if it gets all the way through. Senna now taken away by Rogue. They're going to try and pinch that bot lane pool just a little bit, and G2 will have to bring out something new.
So there's the adaptation from Rogue. They think the Senna Seraphine is a problem. And I
so
expect them to
good
still
news.
first pick Azir.
Rogue should consider banning away Azir right now, which I know might seem counterintuitive, but there's a world where they could actually get a Draven or a Kalista.
Yeah.
They get one of those two. And I think that if Comp gets its hands on that, and you have so much more control, and you can play through your bot side of the map, that, in my opinion, is when Rogue have actually looked the best all year.
Sejuani ban.
Well, I think this is also fine. The only downside to this is that, okay, well, they're gonna first pick the Azir. That's the expectation.
I mean, Draven Kalista's now both open.
Yes, so Draven as a blind is just the better of the two, just because Draven does so well into the Kalista. And globally, it seems that not many people have found successful answers into the Draven. The question is, can either of these teams successfully play around an aggressive Draven? We saw Fnatic with a masterclass early game dominant performance yesterday. The question is, can either of these teams look to emulate that?
I like it from Rogue. I think take away the Senna Seraphine. You could have taken with the Aatrox as well, but keep the Azir first pick alive. I don't think the Varus was that much of an issue. Will Caps pull it out again, or will Caps have something else? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see things like Akali, Ahri, LeBlanc come out of Caps on 3. We'll see what bot lane G2 opt into now. We normally see a Senna first rotation here with things like the Wukong, but they're going to go straight to the Draven. And now do Rogue match with Kalista? If they match with Kalista, they need an early game jungler, which got taken away. So I think what G2 are going to do this game, looking at that 1-2, if I'm Rogue, I think they're going to late invade bot side and split the map bot and dive you no matter what.
Did, yeah.
And Rogue need a jungler that can match that level 1, and I don't think that there's that many left unless they go for something like Xin Zhao, but even then, I think level 1 you're losing.
Sin? Could he?
No. Oh! Venius! We might be blessed!
There he is.
The Renekton Prio is gone! Are we going to get an Ornn?
Lock in the Ornn! Let's go! This is the adaptation that we wanted to see.
There are some Ornn enjoyers out there.
Who isn't an Ornn enjoyer, right?
It's true.
Now, Rogue, the thing is, you have a problem right now, right? You're sacking jungle or AD here. G2 expecting support or Aatrox or some kind of like a Sylas from Akali on 3. I think there's a couple of options that they can go for. The question is Rogue, Kalista or jungle? Looks like they're going jungle.
Yep.
They're going to drop AD. Does G2 ban Kalista? I think no matter what, G2 is going to split the map bot side level 1.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you need to start saying a prayer to Comp because he's not going to get to farm this game. Assuming G2 look to play the same way Fnatic did yesterday, they will look to attack the bot lane. And the Yone hover earlier from Broken Blade was a bit of a callback, but it will be locked in. It is what Broken Blade does. You can see the smiles on his faces. And it is his champ into tanks. You know that it eventually outscales. In the early matchup, you need to be a little bit careful. You can be squishy, you can be killed by the Ornn, but Yone has become one of Broken Blade's signature picks, and it's something he's more than happy to play.
It's the Blade of the Ruined King rush, isn't it? That's when the Yone takes over that lane. We've seen it before, we're seeing it again. Kalista ban from G2, they can really target bot lane. I wonder, do you ban things like the Ezreal, which is a champ that Draven will demolish, yes, but it's the only champ that can maybe farm from range, right? What are the things that they're thinking of? Sivir, Zeri, Twitch, everything like this is just going to get destroyed. And actually, Rogue showing some respect to the Varus. Surprised, actually, that they have Wukong Ornn and they're going to ban away the Varus, but maybe Larson said to his coach, you know, I think the lane phase was a bit too tricky.
Do you ban Renata?
As Rogue?
Yes. I feel you have to.
I think Renata ban is not bad. I was thinking more of a melee support here for G2, but the problem that they have is, yes, you do. You do ban Renata there, Vedius. Of course, they have things like the Ornn and the Wukong. You're completely right. Does G2, I think they just count big support here, right? Go for the Sylas, pretty happy days, take away the Ornn ult. I'm expecting something like Leona or Nautilus out of Targamas.
Yeah, something aggressive that can get you early engages down towards that bottom side. Rogue, of course, still yet to pick any of their bot lane. On the cards, still that Sivir, the Zeri. Options for Rogue can do that alongside a Lulu if you want, but Lulu very squishy in the laning phase, very difficult to keep alive. Caitlyn Lux, though, still an option as well. You could play range.
I think that's what they're going to...
They have Zeri Lulu, they have Caitlyn Lux, they have Zaya Rakan. Brown? Okay, into the Draven. A lot of Draven players out there.
Well,
in solo queue, they ban Brown.
Well, if we think about it, do you ever want to dive a Braum, Cadril? Because I don't want to dive a Braum.
I know you can't pick a melee support now because that's their idea. Counts pick it, but they could go for something like Rakan here and just have a pretty decent team fight if they want.
True. They could
even go range support if they want to. Draven, Janna, something psychotic like that, right? But they're going to go Rakan. It's really good into Braum. The thing is, the Braum makes sense because the Draven can't just hit with a shield, right? And all the Draven players in solo queue will ban Braum. We've even seen in multiple major regions where Draven's picked, Braum's banned on the 4-5, right? So I think they're just covering off a Braum last pick from G2 to stop the Ornhorn, a Braum last pick to stop a melee support, and a Braum into the Draven. So I think it was a good adaptation there by Rogue.
I also just think that Comp is expecting to get left on an island and threaten to dive, and I just think that Braum gives you so many options when it comes to mitigating those dives thanks to his passive in the early game that I think Rogue have done what they can to mitigate G2's early game dominant options.
Exactly, and I think you just hit the nail on the head because Braum level 1 is pretty strong.
Yeah.
You know, the late invade bot side, they can actually contest with this Braum, so maybe that's what they're going to defend. We'll see if both teams run bot level 1 to get wards or try to go aggressive or defensive in the case of Rogue. But G2 gonna have a lot of style points this game. Sylas, Yone, a lot of individual prowess, a lot of kind of individual skill that we can see come out of it.
We didn't talk about it, but come on, Caps on Sylas. It's one of his signature picks. Internationally, he's had incredible performances on it. Hell, even last week, he was an absolute superstar.
EG fans, where are you at?
Yeah. Oh my word, Caps on Sylas is going to be a treat. We're getting closer and closer to Game 3. You know it's in for a banger. Will it be a 3-0 or will Rogue bounce back? It's time to find out as we jump onto the Rift.
Oh, lads. You've told me that the G2 bot lane wants to be aggressive. You've told me that we're going to get action in the early game. So far, we have had 40 kills, in 70 minutes of gameplay.
Yeah.
That is unacceptable. Okay? Draven, Rakan, and a Yone. I'm expecting some blood.
Okay,
Are we going to see that blood?
So, you watched the game yesterday, right, mate?
Which game?
The Fnatic one.
Okay, I thought you were talking about football. My head, I did watch the football, yes.
No, League of Legends.
Yes.
Right. So you saw what Fnatic's bot lane did to
and the jungler as well, Razzle.
Yes, right. So that trio, the way in which they attacked that bot lane with the split map, with the dives, that's basically what you would expect G2 to try and do this game.
Okay.
Problems.
Okay.
Number one, Braum.
Yes.
Both Kate and I talked about it in the draft, the problems that come with trying to invade onto a Braum very early on into the game due to his passive. You're a sport main, you know all about it.
I do understand.
Problem number two is that G2, of all the teams in Europe, actually have one of the worst early games in the league.
Okay.
Like, they have gotten better, especially in the second half of the split, but they are not a team that dominates you in the early game. And in fact, they're going to completely pivot up what they're doing here in the early game and go for a delayed invade on the top side.
It's so smart, isn't it? Because Odoamne was sitting in mid expecting a bot invade. They warded, they swapped the sweeper in case they warded on the late invade. G2 just go top. They take away your blue buff. And now I think Jankos can take blue Grom, backtrack to bot side, and get a camp advantage. Yes, you're not splitting the map bot side, but you're getting a jungle advantage. They've just given them the switcheroo.
I guess the argument here is because Flack and Targamas should be able to get the push in bot, and you can see Cap's going to go drop a ward over here as well. It's difficult for Marang to actually split the map in a situation like this. But with Larssen getting the push, I feel like that there is a window here for Larssen to actually split it if he wants to.
So, actually,
he does.
Yankos is going for all of the camps, and Malrang's going for Red Raptor's Krug. So Malrang will hit 3 off Krugs, Yankos will hit 3 off Wolves. And I think the map might devolve into chaos because Malrang's only option is walking into bot side and taking those camps. Does Jankos defend? How much bot push can they get? How much mid push can they get? Jankos actually leaving the small wolf means he won't get level 3.
So Jankos is going to get spotted on this ward though, so they know that he spent a lot of time in that topside jungle. Malrang's still working on the Krugs.
11 CS.
Yep. Question is, where does Malrang go? Because you could also get a counter split map where Jankos is only playing topside and Malrang had free reign of the entire bottom side, but Malrang now has backed, has a control ward, is actually going back up towards his top side.
So I think his logic here is I don't have any bot push. Rakan will be first towards bot side jungle with Draven. I cannot contest this bot side camp. Sylas also really good skirmishing level 3 onwards. Even if he doesn't have the push, he can just ignore the wave, right? And they have enough CC to make it so Malrang is just too scared to do it. That ward right there spots him. So now G2 know exactly what's going to happen. Jankos owns 3 quads into the jungle. Malrang's going to top grab or he's looking for Broken Blade. Broken Blade doesn't have a ward yet, but he knows exactly where Malrang is, so he's going to play a little bit safe. And Jankos is the biggest winner.
Gets an extra buff out of the affair. Can, of course, lose his Razor Weeks and his Krugs as Malrang is up towards this top side. We'll realize that this red has been taken already. And we'll try and steal away the Krugs, at least to get himself a little bit back into this game. Meanwhile, the rest of the lane's pretty stable across the board. Broken Blade struggling a little bit into the Yawn matchup up towards the top side. You can see him actually starting a recall there, stopped it. The wave not. It's going to slowly push towards him so he can catch this as it comes in, but the risk, of course, is Malrang is there for a dive if they want to look for it. There was a ping as if it was warded, but there's no ward there yet from G2.
Yeah, Broken Blade's weak side right now, he knows it. He's playing as safe as possible, picking up the scraps from the creeps. Maybe he wards this bush here on the Krugs to check if Malrang's around. Yeah, he will. So he knows he's safe. And Caps has the mid push, TP'd back. He could hover topside right now as well. Worst case scenario, but I think G2 have read the play. They know that he's undiveable and Jankos is around the top side. And he has enough time to help his top laner out. So nothing will happen in the early stages. Jankos will have a small CS lead in terms of camps.
But Vedi, you promised me stuff.
I did.
Where's the stuff?
Well, Braum. What do you want from me? I told you, Braum makes problems. But also, G2 just not the type of team that actually snowballs through the early game. They're not like a super bloodthirsty team. They've typically always been about the mid to late game. That's where this roster in particular has found most of their success. And we're kind of seeing it once again. Jankos, though, looking for his first game of the
flash
game.
away as Broken Blade flashes in for the chase. The red buff slow from Jankos is going to do quite a lot of work here. Bella's better to be available for Odoamne under the tower. Dead first blood, G2.
Clean kill from G2. The expectation was that on the stacked wave, it would be Rogue threatening the dive, but it is in fact Jankos looking to punish. He goes back to his top side, looks for his Krogs, realizes they're not there, and he's like, I'll try a gank. Turns out that it works out nicely, and they funnel all that early game gold into Broken Blade.
And jungle tracking for Rogue is so difficult because I think Jankos has been in fog the majority of this game. Despite seeing him late invade the top side, from that point onwards, Malrang was the one who walked over a ward after base. And Jankos actually, I think Rogue might have said, okay, he's going to go towards his bot side camps here because I've taken his Krugs, or he's on his Raptors or something because his Krugs are down, but he actually came from that area. I wonder if the ping spotted him or not. I'm going to assume no because Olamne was quite far up. And yeah, just good presence of mind from Jankos to get that kill.
I do think in a situation like that, Olamne could have considered actually turning and fighting Broken Blade rather than running away. Broken Blade is still very squishy this early on into the game. There's no way he gets away with his life, but perhaps a better situation for him. Regardless, all in the matter of hindsight. You can see Rogue leveraging that push bot to get a little bit more control over the bot river, but Caps moves into Fog. The ping has come down.
Uh-oh, Targamas. He just jumps out. It's power of Rakan into Braum, obviously. Concussive blows is a bit of a threat to most supports, especially the squishy ones, but Rakan can just dodge across the wall. Broken Blade trading with Olamne here with the level advantage as well. Can continue to put that damage down. And I will say, Jankos constantly having Marowang's number through these early games in the last couple of games. It's been a struggle for the Rogue junglers to really have an impact on the map, which is something we praised him so much for during the regular season and in that series versus Mad. Oh, Caps, says K-Draw. Well, Caps is very happy just to gobble up a few honey fruit and get himself back a little bit of HP.
Yeah, top push helping him out a lot there. Rogue was hovering around bot side 3v3 for the last minute, and the reason is because of the crab. I think Malrang got it, so that helps him kind of recuperate the lost CS from Camps, but now they're 3-manning mid here. Oh, Caps.
Shurima Shuffle coming in. Larson with the opposite Emperor's Divide, and the bodyguards paid double for that one. As Larson is able to escape, does burn his flash.
Really good play there from G2.
Yeah, from Caps. Sealing away the Larson ultimate, the Zero ultimate rather, being able to set that play up. G2 with a good row, but it does not result in a kill, just a flash gone. This will alleviate some of the pressure from Caps in the mid lane. But overall, G2 feeling very comfortable for the time being. You can see gold advantages being slowly built up all across the map, resulting in about a 600 gold lead. No Drake yet taken, but the Herald spawning in 30 seconds, and already we can see movement on the map. Trimby making his way up towards the Herald. Targamas doing the same. And with Flacket getting an earlier base, is he going to choose to rotate towards it? No, he's going to hit... Keep my eyes
Where's he going to go?
Flacket.
He's got the Whirling Death, so he could influence a fight from the bottom lane.
Back to bot lane.
Yep.
All right.
Sitting on 214 stacks there. We have to keep track of those Draven stacks and whether we can get the cash in. Malrang just hit level 6. Broken Blade, no flash. If he walks down here, he could face a Blast Coning jungle support, and they're trying to time it here because they don't have vision, but surprise, he's not there. He actually went around. Targamas is in the vicinity as well. Jankos trying to get his red as quick as possible. I think he's going to level up to 6, so Rogue have the advantage for now because G2 are saying Jankos needs level 6. When he hits level 6, we will contest. And he doesn't want to waste his smite either, so it takes a little bit longer. G2 just going to show themselves for now.
Jankos gets 6 off the red buff there. Targamas here still only level 5, but the support's yet to crest over that ultimate mark. You can see Comp moving up from the bottom side. Of course, Whirling Death available for Flacket. He's going to start to move as well, but decides against it as he backs away. Olamne chipped off towards the top side. Broken Blade does have that ultimate. Trimby looking for some damage as well, as Larson has that flank position. No Emperor's Divide on him. Caps can hijack away an ultimate. Maybe the Cyclone, a good possibility here. Call of the Forge got one as well, but Jankos already jumped on. Comp has joined the fight. Flacket on his way up still. Caps going in with the Cyclone. The dive in from Targamas as well. The Whirling Death just short. Larson takes the first. The second of the fight will be going over to Comp. Broken Blade trading off towards the top side as Olamne is forced away, but Odo almost winning out on the trades. Chipped away by Broken Blade. Another kill goes over to Comp as he gets the double on the Zeri, and the Rift Herald next on the menu for Rogue.
Does Rogue want to chase down Broken Blade? He has no TP. He has the tier 2 boots, though. Larson is looking for him. He could get the execute, but he doesn't get the Q over the wall. He's just going to recall. Larson should have the WEQ, and he tags him, so Broken Blade will die as well. This will be 4 kills to Rogue from that team fight. For the 1-kill trade from Broken Blade. Really good engage by Rogue.
Really good engage indeed. Olamne was struggling a little bit in the 1v1, but his ultimate was instrumental in setting up that play, and this is the biggest difference. This is what we wanted to see from Rogue, having that tool to actually start off the fight.
G2 a little bit hindered in this fight because Targamas isn't level 6. Your engage options become very slim when the Rakan only has a knock-up, so it's Caps who goes first on the engage, but the disengage was good. The Whirling Death so close, and Flacket was there late. You know, Comp was there first on the Zeri, so they can turn, and G2 lacking that engage, lacking that level 6 Rakan means they all fall. Rogue get everything. G2, Broken Blade managed to get that solo kill into Odo, but Odo got the ult off in the end and got the Jankos' flash, which allowed the rest of Rogue to win that fight. G2 going to respond with a dragon.
Shout out to the observers as well, giving us that nice slow-mo in the replay to be able to capture all the action. Observers here in EU continue to smurf it. It will be the dragon going in favor, as Kadril just said to G2. And the swap will now come through. With the Herald secured, it looks like that Rogue want to try and snowball this early game more than they already have. And this is the typical Rogue that we're used to. Usually they'd be able to dominate through the laning phase, Malrang looking for these early ganks. But it's Rogue that find a good early team fight off the back of a Herald as well. Something that Comp said was one of their biggest weaknesses during the regular season. And they should be able to open up this top tower and get more gold into Comp's hands.
Yeah, Trimby trying to put a little bit of vision down, but he doesn't actually have any wards to work with, so nothing placed on the top side jungle. Malrang, like you said, Vidius has that Herald. They put it down is the question. Larson has a lot of mid push, but looks like they're just going to chip away at plates for now. 3 minutes left on those plates before they fall off. They could also drop it mid and get Larson ahead. 2-0-2 on the Azir, 2 kills to the Zeri. A lot of the resources in that Herald fight went to the right people. Odoamne, yes, he's 0-2 at 0, but he's not playing Renekton. He's playing Orange, so he can help his team out a lot when it comes to the front to back. And they're slowly chipping down these towers, Rogue, with an early game lead, 2,000 gold.
I think it's the largest gold lead Rogue have had through the entire series. Most of the rest of the games have been relatively even. Here, Rogue, with a sizable chunk of change, 1,000 gold lead on their mid lane, 1,000 gold lead on Comp as well. That Zeri in a much better position to actually have impact as the team fights go on here. Malrang caught. Caps trying to get onto him. The charm coming out as well. Beautiful from Caps. Caught the clone as he tried to get away. The charm coming out onto Larson as well as the knockback with the Emperor's Divide, and Larson's shut down. As soon as we praise Rogue, G2 strike back.
You cannot shut down the power of Caps. No matter if he's behind, no matter if G2 is behind in early game, he will always find these plays, predicts Malrang's W on the Wukong in the right way, lands the chain, takes the Azir ult, manages to kill Larson as well. Caps never fails to impress.
And props to Targamas there, the immediate follow-up, and he's able to charm Larson too. That's the main reason why G2 could get that secondary kill. Larson tries to ult them away, but because he ended up getting charmed, he ends up walking ever so slightly forward, which then gave Caps the room to be able to set up that ulti and secure an additional kill. Good damage does come out from Larson, but Caps is going to swag his way away. 2 kills in the back pocket.
Yeah, Targamas having a great series as well so far. Obviously on the Senna was unkilled this game. He has died once, but he's having an exceptional performance and kill participation of 100% as well. Like on Senna it's easier to do, but very impressive from him and very impressive split from him once again.
Crazy indeed, and now Broken plays trading onto Odo. We saw the Herald pop for Comp to get a little bit of gold onto him, and it's Rogue still with the pressure. We'll look at this again because I think Caps predicts the W from Malrang from his vision. He didn't see him, he was invisible. But he just blind guesses that he's around here. And then it's the takeaway of the Azir ult that seals the deal.
Look at this charm here. See as he ease in. Targamas is trying to retreat, but then Larson actually ease in, ends up getting charmed, and then Caps is able to land that ultimate. 2 quick kills for G2. Gold is still in favor of Rogue, of course. I believe the Herald did go down top, which we can see from the plates. Which means that a Rogue with that 1k gold lead still comfortable for the time being. Comp in a very powerful position still. But G2 definitely not out of this yet. One of the big things we haven't spoken about, one of the biggest differences in this game compared to previous games, is the side lane threat. G2 have a lot of side lane options that Rogue can't really match the late of this game. Though sure, Larson will be able to wave clear, but the great thing about Yone is you can chase pretty much anyone down in a side lane. The bonus movement speed that you get while you're in your E, the ability to stick onto a target, the amount of mobility that you inherently have with your kit means that unless Rogue can actually force these fights, this side lane threat of Broken Blade is going to be very problematic for them.
It is indeed. They need to use Larson's TP, maybe overload bot. We saw G2 do the same thing in game 1 where Odoamne's Renekton was getting caught by the Aatrox Azir with TPs in. And now top tier 1 is incredibly low. G2 want to defend it. TP bots from Odoamne. Broken Blade has TP advantage now. Rogue needs to be very careful in fighting a 3v3. Blackgate has 450 stacks right now, so he is cashing out over 1,000 gold if he can get a kill.
And that's the thing, if Blackgate gets a kill, it evens out this gold discrepancy between the two teams. Now, Comp has been funneled a little bit of gold. He's about 1,000 ahead right now. Immortal Sugar already complete for him, and it's going to be gifted over this tower local gold as well. Another 450 for him, but if G2 find a good wombo combo, if they manage to find, Yone Ultimate into the Whirling Death with a quickness on top of it, it becomes a lot easier for Flacker to play the game. 40 seconds on the Drake. Expect that to be the next point of contest, and it kind of follows the mold of G2 so far in this series. First Drake around the 10-minute mark, second Drake around the 15-minute mark. Keep them stacking up and keep Rogue on their toes.
Rogue right now, the resets have come through. A few more components picked up for Comp. He couldn't quite complete that second item. But I'm keeping my eyes on what Targamas is up to right now. He's clearing up vision in the river alone. He's going to help Blackgate push that wave out. Jankos is going to catch mid as Caps now returns to lane. He is very close to level 11, and I think there it is. That's what he wants just before the fight kicks off. And here we are, Rogue with now control over the river. TP available on Broken Blade. Let's see if they can find that. Look at that one ward behind the Dragon Pit as an option for a flank.
Yeah, where does Broken Blade TP? I mean, they see Comp now. He doesn't really want to flank on Yone, you have to imagine, but that ward looks like the best option for him. The pink is also good. Just stay with the rest of the team. Now, where's the Ornn Horde? Where's the engage from Rogue? They need to be quick on this.
2,000 HP on the Dragon Call of the Forge God. Dodged by everyone in Rogue. They called in the Forge God, but the Tempered Fate finds the backline. Unbreakable Shield coming over the Whirling Death. There's a shutdown, and immediately Black gets online. There's 2. Looking for 3 as Malrang tries to get away, but the chase is on, and there's no escape for the Monkey King. You have to feel dice to the tower. G2 with a perfect team fight.
What an insane wombo combo from Broken Blade and Targamas. The Yone ultimate into the Rakan ultimate was just flawless. Everything about G2's team fighting comes up clutch, and G2 wipe Rogue off the match.
G2 are they're just on another level right now. Their team fight execution is just way far superior than Rogue's. Their versatility in draft, their identity in these games, their clear-cut plans from scrims are just so flawless in G2. They get the Dragon, they get the fight, they're gonna get a Herald as well, and despite Rogue being ahead in gold, despite the Zeri being ahead of the Draven, all of it's just falling apart.
Let's have a look back at this fight. So, as Medic highlighted, the Ornn ultimate doesn't really connect onto anyone. People just walk past it. We're also going to keep our eyes on how much the Dragon... Great engage from Broken Blade. The follow-up immediately from the Rakan. The pillar then separates everyone. Flakked cashes out. And then you see Caps here with the ultimate. Just flawless execution. Rogue don't even have an opportunity to answer back.
It's just incredible, isn't it? G2 is just the way they play these fights, micro-wise, in and out. Quick and snappy. Broken Blade goes in, makes Rogue panic. They group up,
It was
and
so
then it's
fast, as you
Targamas.
rightly said. Like, how do you even react to that? The ultimate just kind of came out of nowhere from Broken Blade. You'd think that once G2 get the Drake, they would just disengage. But no, that's not what happened at all. Broken Blade goes in, Targamas quick to follow. Caps then for the finish up. G2 looking on form, looking to 3-0 Rogue, make another finals appearance, and look to stay on top of Europe.
And of course, if Rogue lose this, they do still go to Malmo. They play up in that losers bracket final against the winner of Mad and Fnatic, who play tomorrow. They can still get a rematch against G2. The last series they played against them was a 3-0. Rogue looking to try and stop it from being 3-0 this time. Black is still caught. The quickness from Targamas though distracts the rest of Rogue, and Jankos now can look to step forward. Broken Blade coming in. Caps back in base. TP's behind them. What have you got, Caps? Broken Blade trying to get onto that backline. Whirling Death coming in as well, and G2 are quite separate here. Yeah, Broken Blade will dive all the way across. Caps is going to get away as well somehow. Glacial Fisher stolen away. Caps no flash. And the rest of G2 just collapsing.
Wow.
What? No! What?
That's Caps, baby. That's Caps on Silas.
It's also Broken Blade on Yone. The amount of time he just wasted of 3 or 4 people, knocked them all up, went all the way across the map back to his E.
Oh no, Caps, don't do it.
Just continues. Maybe a bit too deep here, but he has Targamas by his side, the solo lanes.
There's no such thing as too deep.
But like, Rogue had them. Like, Caps was behind him, and then Rogue just couldn't collapse. It's absurd.
This is my jungle now, and anyone who enters it shall be executed. And Rogue was swiftly executed.
A lot of skill expression from the solo laners here, and we'll see it again, because what happens is it looks like Flakket's caught, and Odoamne's ult very good at sniping where he thinks Flakkett will land, so it hits the back half, but there's no follow-up for Rogue now. Now let's keep our eyes on Jankos. He's going to flash out in a second, and watch Broken Blade here with his E. Watch how much time he buys. Jankos is flashing out. Broken Blade's ulting past everyone.
He misses everyone.
Flashes the knock-up, but look, everyone on Rogue saying, let's go on Yone.
At this
then
point,
this knock-up dashes out, and Caps does the rest.
And the rest of G2 are still in the river.
So so he steals away the Braum ultimate. The rest of Rogue aren't actually following up on Odoamne, who's trying to then help get the kill onto Caps. And then Caps and Targamas basically...
Odo is full armor as well,
I will say
right?
that, like,
Dealing with Broken Blade,
Rogue at this point basically just split up, and they kind of abandoned Odoamne there. Made it very easy for Caps to actually get that kill. But 4-1-on-2 is the scoreline. Been involved in 6 of the team's 8 kills. Same for Broken Blade. The 2 solo laners coming up clutch. But really, for me, the standout has been Targamas this series. Phenomenal center games 1 and game 2, and here in game 3 his engages continue to be incredible, following up, or whether it be the follow-up or the initiation. He was a support player that we didn't really talk a lot about during the regular season, largely because the meta shifted to range supports, and he was kind of forced to sit in his lane a lot more compared to previous splits. But seeing one of these engaged supports is the Targamas that I'm used to, the heavy roaming, the heavy influential.
Pike.
The Pike.
Bring it back. TP top here from Rogue. They're making a play of their own.
Yeah, Jankos with not the optimal Herald, as Larson looks for Jankos here. He's going to be able to force him down towards the bottom side. Subjugate coming out. Call of the Forge got there as well. There's one. Targamas trying to get into the back line.
3.
They sealed as they dive onto them. Broken Blade going in. That's 1. Targamas still alive somehow. And now Larson's caught in the midst of 4 flashes away, but can't survive. Targamas! Oh, Leandri's tick is enough to burn him down, but Baron on the menu for G2. It looks like they will not go for it.
They don't really have anyone to tank it, but we can see how mobile G2's comp is. The Sylas, the Yone, the Rakan in and out constantly. Rogue really just want to play a straight up front to back, but G2 will never give it to them. It's a 3-for-2, so not the end of the world for Rogue. Actually a lot better than the previous fights, but it just looks so G2 one-sided from the outside.
And you have to think back to last split. It was game 3 where Rogue, it just felt like everything started to fall apart, and you feel it falling apart right now once again for Rogue. They tried to make a play. The idea behind the play is good. The execution, however, doesn't quite go their way. They initiate onto Jankos, they find that pick, and it looks good, but then the re-engage from G2.
And it's a re-engage from Targamas. Gets onto 2, and then it's Broken Blade with the ult. Gets onto 3. The Whirling Death, everyone's flashing away, everyone's spinning up. Your front line's in your back line. Odoamne's in Narnia, Larsen's in the 1v4. It's really not the fight Rogue wanted, and G2, Targamas dies to the end.
Caps is basically just taking the best bits from Azir and making them look even better. Yeah. He has stolen so many Azir ultimates, and he has made them work, proving to everyone that he is, of course, the one true Emperor of Europe. Caps looking to reign on top once more.
1,000 gold shutdown on his head, a massive bounty. He's gone for the Magi's as well, 10 stacks. He's going to start stacking up that Magi's, and they're going to go for a Baron here, G2. 22 minutes into the game. How does Rogue respond? Do they have a response is the question.
Caps tries to spot out Marang as he comes in. Baron probably down to about half HP right now, 4,000 on it. Rogue trying to step forward, but as you say, Casual, it's just gone. Call of the Forge God though as Broken Blade dives in with the Fate Seal, dodges to the side by Comp. Fate Seal goes back, Broken Blade diving away from this one. Comp trying to put the damage down, but he's just chipped away at Call of the Forge God, stolen away by Caps as they look for the chase. G2 get the Baron, get out.
God, these team fights must be so frustrating for Rogue. Broken Blade goes in, he goes out. Targamas goes in, he goes out. Then it's Caps' turn. They're basically playing tag at this point, G2. They get a Baron, and Rogue are just so chunked out from the initiators that they can't follow up.
Caps.
Marang to dodge across the wall, but so can Caps. Misses the chains this time. Marang though still down to half HP.
No, he won't.
For a second I thought Caps was like gonna ward over the wall. And
yeah,
like,
that's what I thought too.
No ward.
Cooldown stopped him. That's what happened. Yeah. G2 will secure another tower. They're making a rotation up towards top. Caps is going to catch that wave after securing Gromp, of course. Broken Blade, though, has his eyes on Larsen.
Yeah, what can Larsen really do in this situation? The unstoppable away from the Emperor's Divide. An easy enough escape there for the G2 top. And G2 now pushing in 2 lanes. Broken Blade in mid, the rest of them up towards this top side. They must be sitting on a little bit of gold as well, actually. 1,000 on Jankos, 1,000 in a couple of other places as well. Can get to reset and buy that. Trimby here, no way for him to get away from this one. Trimby falls for the 3rd time this game.
And now with the numbers advantage, they can just siege onto this tier 3 in the mid lane. G2 looking to break the base of Rogue, and they're looking to make this a quick 3-0.
They are looking unstoppable right now. Are they going to go for the Nexus dive? I doubt it. Targamas is running from mid. They're going to take this slow, go to top waves, and then start the siege on this top inhibitor.
Oh my word. G2. There were doubts, there were question marks. At the end of the regular season, they definitely looked good, but how good would they be in playoffs? The answer is they look damn good. This team is proving themselves to be a cut above the rest in Europe, and they're looking to represent Europe as one of the top 2 seeds. Remember, winning here today will give you a bye through the play-in straight into the group stage. You'll be 1st or 2nd seed representative. It will definitely give you an easier time.
It also means you get to go to the finals in Malmö.
That also
without
true.
having to play in the lower bracket final. G2 so consistent when they do get there, have won 9 of the 10 times they've made it to finals, only losing to Fnatic in 2018.
And given Fnatic's form, there's a real chance that Fnatic could meet them there. Of course, still a long road for Fnatic to go. They will be playing Mad tomorrow, but his Broken Blade over the wall.
Look at the damage on the comp. Manages to get away from that one. Poking away as well. Caps TPing up towards the front lines here.
Wave clear is good though from Rogue. They will hold the line for now. The tower remains healthy, but the super minions starting to stack up in mid lane.
30 seconds left for the Baron, 25 seconds left now. They'll have a wave to work with. I think they're going to get this bot tier 2. Rogue could go for a Hail Mary defense, but is it worth it on tier 2? Not the best positioning for blue team, and Caps is threatening this dive.
Quickness coming out. Caps goes in with the Emperor's Divide. The knock up onto Comp as well. They put everything in the Comp basket and he's been shut down. Jankos takes him underneath the tower. G2 may have overextended. Caps though with the Kingslayer just healing himself up. Blackhead in the midst of them as well. Stopwatch from him. Flashes away. Marang trying to put the damage down, but Blackhead's still alive somehow. TP into the base as Broken Blade looks to end the game. Caps diving forward in a 2v1. Caps wins these. Of course he bloody does. Caps has gone to bed and Claps is back. Oh, baby! G2 looking like the G2 of old, demolish Rogue, and they will make their way to their 11th final and look to make it lucky number 10 in terms of titles. Unstoppable. They look amazing right now. G2 will close it out 3-0 versus Rogue.
Incredible performance from G2. Not sure how many people predicted a 3-0 today, but that was an incredibly one-sided series. Only in game 2 towards the later stages did it look even remotely close, but they came in prepared and they came in extremely clean.
It's exactly what we saw last split. G2 and Rogue met in the finals and G2 just demolished them. G2 in playoffs form seemed to be unrivaled here in Europe, and they did it in very G2-esque style. They came in with, I'm going to say, unconventional drafts, something that we don't typically see from the rest of the world. They defied the meta once more. They brought something new, they brought something interesting, and they made it work.
Yep. And now they get to go to the first LAN final we have had, or final in Arena, for 3 years, 2.5 years. Last time was 2019 in Athens. G2 won there. It was against Fnatic this time. We'll see what they can do in Malmö.
And we'll see what they can do in the World's group stage, because they're locked there as well. No play-ins for G2. Straight to groups in October. But finals still await one more best of 5 to lift that trophy on the stage there. And who will be their competitor? Because right now, G2 look unstoppable.
They certainly do. Of course, Fnatic did look good yesterday, but they've got a long road ahead of them. Mad and Rogue still lay in the lower bracket. And for Rogue, a lot of things need to change. If they do get that rematch, a lot of things need to be very different. And you got to remember that there's a very big difference between playing here and in front of that crowd. And you'd think that the cheers are loud here, or they're going to be so much louder in Malmö with G2 on stage.
I mean,
it's going to be a lot of pressure for Rogue if they do find themselves back in the final once again.
Rogue this split this year 6-0, 0-6 sorry, against G2 in best of 5. Lost 0-3 both times they faced, and they'll be looking to find a rematch if they can. But so far G2 just look a cut above everyone else here in the
That's been said many times today, but it's the truest statement to say about G2, right?
A different level.
The Broken Blade on your screen, he can play many forms of champs in top lane. He can play Aatrox, he can play Orange, Sejuani, Yone. You can give him anything. Bot lane's the same, Caps
That's
is
the
the
thing
same.
with G2 at the moment, right? Like the Senna Seraphine came out, it's like, okay, something new. They played Yasuo Senna, they brought back the Draven at the end. Obviously, they can play the conventional, but they can also pick from this eclectic basket of delicious champions to bring to us.
And I will say that, like, obviously, a lot of Westerners have been very worried, especially given the dominance of the East and how strong so many of those teams look. With a performance like this, you've got to have a lot more confidence in G2 representing Europe at the World Championship. I'm optimistic. I like what we saw. I liked what we saw from G2 today.
EDG and like a VCS team.
Easy group.
There's no flipping way. We're gonna hand over to Law, who's standing by with Dylan Falco.
Dylan, thank you for joining me. Congrats on taking down, if not smashing Rogue today. I may say, really one-sided series. What's your take on it as a coach, watching it from backstage?
I think we came in today very confident. I think we've won our last 5 matches in a row against Rogue. And I feel like in scrims as well, we just have a very good success rate. And I think we had a plan that put them on some uncomfortable situations. Let's just say it was a bit cheesy in drafts. So we felt really confident, and I think the series kind of went how we thought it would.
It would not be an actual G2 series without any crazy pick that you guys come up with. Any words on the Varus you came up with today?
Yeah, so I think we played about Seraphine Senna both games. A bit inspired from North America. We're a big Senna team.
Wow.
We're a big Seraphine team. So we've played the combo a lot before. So there were some scenarios where we thought it was really good, so we picked it up. As for the Varus pick, Caps actually watched a YouTube video a couple of weeks ago of Varus one-shotting somebody, and he was like, why does it do so much damage? And he started playing in solo queue. He was getting 20 kills every single game. So he got permission to try it in some scrims, and I guess also the winners finals of LEC.
That was amazing. I love how sometimes the audience drafts for G2, sometimes YouTube drafts for G2, but when you come up with so many specific champion and out-of-the-box champion, if I may say, what is the thought process in including this champion into the drafts? Because there's a very specific meta. How do you come up with this?
So for me, a few things. First, troll picks or crazy picks need to be a bit proven. It helps a lot even if it was in the past, even if it was like 3-4 years ago, or in solo queue many games. Like I need to see some sort of evidence that it's good. Like a player can't just come to me and say, I want to play Teemo Top, for example, and it's just going to be good, right? And I guess the second would be, I know my players have to be able to play the champion, right? It's different if, for example, someone like Flack had played a lot of Yasuo in the past. He actually plays the champ. Like he plays a lot of Yasuo. Whereas if you don't play the champion, it's going to be a lot harder to bring out special picks.
You mentioned the Yasuo, and it makes me realize that I asked this question to one of your players a couple of weeks back. Who is the best Yasuo in G2?
I think the best Yasuo on the team, someone's going to get really mad at me. I would say it's close, probably between BB and Caps.
Wow.
I actually think it's Broken Blade, I would say.
Nice, nice. The audience doesn't agree too much, but moving on. You'll be playing your back-to-back final in the LEC. How much stronger do you feel compared to spring, and do you think it's going home again?
Obviously, like we won spring, we got first place in summer, and now we won again in winners final. It's like pretty convincingly, so we're very confident. But it will be crazy in Malmo with like a full crowd. Anything can happen, but yeah, we'll be confident and we hope we win.
Who do you think you're going to meet in finals, given what we've seen from the team so far?
I think it's really hard. I think from games recently, I think maybe Fnatic or Mad Lions, actually. I think it's a toss-up. I personally would love to play Fnatic for the G2 Fnatic finals.
Yeah, of course. The long-time rivalry, of course. Last question for you, Dylan. Player of the games could be Caps, Targamas, and Jankos. Who would you give it to?
I think, oh, that's close. I think I'd give it to Targamas for this series. I think they showed a stat, he had like 100% kill participation for 2 straight games in a best of 5. I've never seen that before. He's also playing Senna, like a carry champion as a support player. And then the last Rakan game was crazy. And
he actually won the player of the series today.
Awesome.
Impressive performance from Targamas and impressive performance from G2 as well. Dylan, thank you so much for the interview. See you next week in Malmo. And we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back in a couple minutes for the post-game lobby with Bibi and Jankos. See you soon. And Oslot actually will be in jail.
Even the biggest champ needs a break.
And some Kit Kat for you, and some Kit Kat for Elder, and some... No Kit Kat for Barrett.
Lane.
Incredibly impressive stuff. Really inspirational.
And here we go. He's looking for something. What a move! This man is on fire!
That's the kind of play which makes me want to be on stage. Hold on.
Thank you so much for joining me. Tell me, how do you feel after making that play?
Kia, movement that inspires.
Welcome, everyone, to the LEC post-game lobby, aka PGL. I'm joined by Broken Blade and by Ocelot, straight from the gym, I hear.
Straight from the gym, and I would say I did not appreciate the fact that I had my short shorts and you guys made me change my pants. I do not appreciate that.
You don't?
No,
but
I
you're
don't.
still here, so
I
you're
am
whipped,
here.
it seems, because
I am here. I sold my soul to be here in PGL.
apparently. But all jokes aside, super happy that you're here.
Thank you.
And congratulations. Congratulations, Broken Blade.
Thank you.
So, big build-up for this match. Kings match. Best teams of the regular season. Gonna go toe-to-toe. 5 games. Yes, on the horizon. No. It was a 3-0. Why was it such a convincing win?
Because we're too good.
It banged?
I mean, the series banged for us. Yeah, I don't think it banged so much for Rogue. But they will get another chance, hopefully.
They will get another chance, hopefully. In all seriousness, though, what do you think it was in your team after every draft that you thought, okay, we got this? Was it because you were more adept at the team fighting, map movements?
I mean, I think the first 2 games were really decided by drafts. I think we had really, really good drafts going into those 2 games. Even though in the second game, for example, we had like a little shaky fights, I was like, we're just gonna win. We just have to fight one time correctly, right? And it just happened where we just group up as 5. It's unlosable. Yeah, and game 3, I think we just played better. I do think they had the champions they wanted, but we just played better.
Yeah, Ocelot, what is your expert opinion on?
Ocelot, I mean, it's even
Carlos.
it's even weird to be called Ocelot nowadays.
Oh yeah, it is? Carlos.
That's fine.
Okay.
Carlos, yeah.
So what's your expert opinion on YG?
Well, my expert opinion is that we did play video games today, and it was a successful video game session.
Yes, it was. Are you happy that your team cruised through and is now going to be directly in the final once again in an arena?
Yeah, honestly, I'm very happy because it doesn't matter how many times you win LEC or European Championship, whatever. It always feels special because every time is a different set of challenges. And, especially this year, which is the year that it's not from zero, because of course Caps and Jamcos are not zero necessarily, right? But building from a much smaller team, we could put our imprint into how the team operates and the culture of the team. So it feels very good to see it all work out, even though at the beginning of the year, the polls, and everybody was just trashing on us because BB is washed up. And maybe he might be washed up, actually. He might be washed up. We never know. But it's working.
He was a 0-3-0 35 minutes into the second game. So they don't really need him.
It's okay, man. Yeah, we still won, right? He's a team player, you know?
As I said, right? Draft cap. I mean, we can talk about the food chain.
Yes. Well, actually, I had an idea for that.
Okay.
Carlos, there's a lot of memes in the G2 League of Legends camp.
Oh, you think?
So I think. I wanted to see how many you know kind of the meaning of. We're going to start with food chain. Do you know what that's about?
I don't know what's about.
What could it be?
It could be that somebody's getting drained out of resources, no resources at all, and then he's getting turbo stomped as a result. And of course, because they lack the self-reflection to make themselves responsible for those fuck-ups, then they blame the fact that they're getting no resources as a result. How accurate is that?
It's not so accurate.
It wasn't, right?
No, I mean, I wouldn't call it so, at least. I mean, it's like for us, the food chain is always a bit relative because our bot lane has a different kind of view of the food chain. But for me, the food chain, I mean, it's like a pyramid, right?
Yeah.
And on top of the food chain, it's the draft.
It's you.
Yeah, no, it's the draft. Okay. It's not me. Top lane is actually on the bottom of the food chain. I will get to that later if you let me explain.
Sorry.
Second, like under coaching staff, very clear, it's jungle and support. I can explain to you why it's jungle and support, because they can roam the map and hunt other people. It's about the hunter and the prey, right? And the top laners and the mid laners and the AD carry, they're all in their lane, waiting, farming every minion, trying to get every resource on the map. And then it's suddenly jungle, who doesn't have to fight a human being, he has to fight camps, just runs to your lane with red buff, and then your food chain gap, with a gank you.
That's completely different from what your support and your ADC
I mean, then it transforms. When it goes to mid game, the guy who's most fed, usually AD carry because bot lane is broken, then they're on top of the food chain. If Draven comes at you, hits you, like the people who run at you in the game, they're on top of the food chain. And then there's some champions like Yuumi who are always the supplier. There's also the supplier.
Yeah.
You always have to keep track on that, And
we have to keep that name, actually. Do we have to keep that name?
Yeah.
And
often the top laner is the supplier, as we know, I guess.
Of course,
it's just,
of course. Johnny,
yeah.
big supplier.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. For example, in this game, I was on top of the food chain, Yon, or Yoni. And in some games, like the Atox game, I was the supplier. You know.
Okay.
There's always a difference. You always need to know it.
Demand,
and
supply.
I can't explain to you when you know it.
Okay.
You just have to know it.
You just have to know it.
Exactly.
Okay, I like it. I like this unbiased view as opposed to Flacket, who just said that top lane was mega easy and, you know.
I mean, it's I don't have to, you know, fight against his opinion because I think he's just wrong. Like he says, it's top to bot. Caps thinks mid lane is like the most useless, which I kind of agree because mid lane again has to hit minions, but can get ganked from actually every angle. So he's always the prey. So yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of different opinions. I'd gladly hold more conversations about the food chain.
Right.
But you know, I think I'm right on this view.
Okay. Well, we have a mid laner here. I mean, you'd still be a mid laner, right? Or not?
I mean, you can. I mean, I don't play the video game, but if I would play mid, not good, but I would play mid. Yes.
You would play mid, right?
Yeah,
so, what do you think? Do you agree that like is mid for you still the most important, or what is it?
I
You
mean,
actually
I don't,
know,
okay,
do you?
from the naked eye,
Yeah.
from someone that does not understand the game really well nowadays, you know, I do see a big difference whether Caps is happy or not, and whether that is as a result of mechanical skill or communication or a combination of both. It does feel like when Caps is having a good day, there's like no chance we lose, actually. So whether that is as a result of just Caps being Caps or mid being mid, I don't know. But I do watch a lot of the scrims and listen to the voice comms quite a lot. And my uneducated opinion says, you know, mid seems to be relatively important. You know, if Caps is happy, we good, you know.
I feel like it's in your team also very much so. But Ocelot, you are not, you say you sometimes watch the scrims and listen to things, but I can imagine you're not, of course, super into the everyday day-to-day. But when it comes to...
Oh, you'd be surprised, actually.
I'd be surprised?
Yeah, you'd be surprised.
Okay.
I get, so for every single thing we have, I get a daily report of what's happened exactly from an in-game perspective and outside the game perspective. And I always read it, and I typically give my thoughts.
So did you know that Targamas used to get up at 4 p.m.?
Yes.
You knew this?
I did.
Okay.
I know everything.
Okay, you know everything. This is kind of scary, no?
I mean, I think it's a good thing, right? To keep everything in track. Like it's nothing that someone has to be scared of.
So that's why I let him beat me at ping pong, because I know his weaknesses and I know his strengths. So if he beats me at ping pong, he will have an ego boost for the next video game, you know?
I think if you played at the same timeline, I would also beat you.
Nah. I think
so. But you wouldn't let me win. I would just win.
No, I just... here's the thing. Like, if you beat me, I know you're going to get an ego boost, you know? It's a good thing. It's a good thing. Then you win.
But I think
if you win, I win,
because
everybody wins.
I was just better.
Carlos, to kind of wrap things up in terms of the team. So you do get reports, you know everything. So what do you think the biggest challenges have been? And also then the biggest things that you think the team has achieved so far now that they're going to Worlds and to the final?
Well, the challenges is like, especially for League of Legends teams, I have seen it so many times that the team bottoms, most teams bottom at the wrong time, actually. It's almost like the perfect storm. It's very easy to happen. You start losing scrims, and then it happens right before playoffs, or it happens right before a super week or something important, and then the team implodes. So what I have seen is that teams where you would have the more, quote-unquote, before the year starts, skilled lineups, except 2019, which was a once-in-a-lifetime.
Poor BB. It's like, that's never going to happen again, dude.
I mean, it was, if you look at
crazy.
it, it was ridiculous, right? What I have seen is that those teams tend to explode when things like that happen, and then they might have a really bad week, and then that might snowball into terrible super week or terrible playoffs. And so for us, I have seen that the guys have a lot of mental strength and very good culture that keeps the team, solution focused, and they always end up finding a solution for all the problems and all the bottoming that happens at the wrong time. So maybe that's not the right word. Listen, let's move on. Let's move on. You know what I meant. Right?
Yes,
you know what I mean.
I definitely know what you meant.
But I am very proud of that because they, even though they're very young, you know, I mean, I know you're like 32, right? But
I mean, it evens out because Jankos is so old.
Yeah, Jankos is very old. Jankos is very old. So everybody else is young, right? So even though
including us, but it's just Jankos.
Yeah, please stop this conversation.
Okay.
but they're mature enough to go through this, you know. And the support staff, Roma, Rodrigo, Dil. I mean, honestly, Rafi, everybody that just is touching the team, done a fantastic job. So I'm very proud.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think we only see the memes and we laugh at the memes and we love the memes, Broken Blade, but I think it's clear to see that there's more behind that than just what we see, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we also have, we are always showing our happy faces, right? But we also have the sad days. But I think, as Carlos mentioned earlier, like, I do think we are a very, very mature team, given how old we are. I think we handle problems very, very well. That's why I think we are on top of, like, everything. And that's why we're also always, like, better. Because I think once we have a challenge, how we like to call it in G2, and we overcome it, we become better, right? And I think the faster you overcome those challenges, the better you're going to get. And every team has the same amount of time. I think the starting point is different, given how much talent you have. And I think we have that as well. So it's just an extra, So I think I'm really happy to be working with such a team and staff.
Oh, that's wonderful.
CEO, you can say it. You can say it's fine.
And
It's all right.
CEO.
It's okay. You can say it. Everybody's looking.
Yeah.
You can say it.
I know I can.
But you're right, though. You're right, though. I mean, you want to be careful about it, but right now you're definitely the best team in the LEC, right? Until proven otherwise, maybe in Malmö. And there is a lot of chatter online, I think, also in terms of Worlds, because we have our 4 teams locked in. A lot of people are doomsday thinking and thinking, well, maybe G2 is the only team that can do well. And then what's your view on it?
Oh, I think if you go in, we won't do well either in the first weeks. I think it's just a matter of how well we do once we get there. Once we scrim the good teams, once we, again, have new challenges and overcome them. And if you're just not like doing that, then we probably just don't deserve of winning, right? And I think, again, our teams in EU, I think we're probably right now a bit behind when it comes to like Asian teams. But I do think with at least our roster, I know I have to trust on my teammates and my staff that we can overcome that, because we also went to MSI. And I think we did face challenges. And I think we failed. That's why I think it made us stronger. And we're going to take that to go as far as possible at Worlds.
Oh, lovely.
Why are you laughing like while saying all those things?
Because I'm just happy. I'm just happy to be here. I'm happy to be living the best life for me, playing video games. I'm just happy to be here.
Amazing.
With you, maybe not so much.
Yeah,
Shock's
likewise,
great time.
I was enjoying my time until the...
Just 3-0 Rogue. So I'm very happy, yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you for asking me, though. I appreciate it.
You want to do the hand?
No.
Yeah, come on.
No, we can't. It's like
we can. Yeah,
left and right.
Yeah, put it on the left. Put it on the left. Put the microphone on the left.
Okay.
It's impossible. We can't handshake.
Why not?
We can't handshake.
It's mathematically impossible. We can't handshake.
Is it 2 strong forces?
Exactly. Yeah.
We can't explain it. It just can't happen.
No, I can't explain it.
Okay, go ahead.
It's 2 strong forces.
2 strong forces.
Yeah.
Oh my. Let's pull up the bracket. So Mad versus Fnatic is tomorrow, and that's kind of spicy because, of course, our MVP, Niski, is playing for Mad because he wasn't playing for Fnatic, right? So we're going to use those words. How do you think that's going to turn out, Broken?
Actually, I have to give credit to Fnatic for the last years. I think they played really well. So I don't actually know what will happen because I think Mad is actually a good team, and I think they should have won the series against Rogue, but it was very close. I think both can win the series. I do believe Niski really wants to prove himself against Fnatic, right? Obviously, I think it's really cool that these 2 teams mash up against each other. I don't know who I would give it to. I think Fnatic really did show up last series. Maybe Mad Lions has a slight edge, but I think both can take it.
Yeah, Carlos, would you like to see? Who would you like to see in the finals versus your boys?
Fnatic, it just feels good to clap them cheeks,
Yeah. I knew you were going to say that. Final question is about Rogue, Broken Blade. Rogue, obviously, you played them a couple of times. You've also played them most recently in the spring finals. And unfortunately, they weren't able to do a lot. Did you see differences or improvement that tell you that they could look different if you were to face them again? Or
I mean, as of right now, no. Because I think the way they played at least last split and the way they play now and the champions they play, style they play is very similar. So unless they change something, I think it's going to be very similar. I mean, they can get better at what they're doing. That's obviously always a choice. But I mean, I don't want to give them advice to do because I don't know how they work, right?
I don't think they're watching and saying, okay.
But I mean, I do think they could have new stuff prepared for next week because obviously it didn't work today, right?
Do you think they're watching and just writing down whatever you're saying?
I don't know, right? But I mean, for me at least, they didn't seem to be very confident today. Like they didn't play confident, if that makes sense. Maybe it was because we 3-0 them last time we played them, right, in playoffs. But I think the champions they usually played really, really well. But it just seemed like they just didn't play with confidence.
Did you hear that? I burped. That's never happened before. Or did you not hear it? And did I just?
Oh, I heard it.
Did I?
Actually.
You didn't say anything?
No, I mean, I was, you know.
I had a bunch of Red Bull before, and I thought this was going to go like 5 games.
I just feel that that's one of those things that you just don't say. And you just move on, you know? Like, there's like no reason whatsoever.
You were both so nice, and I was just self-report. Carlos, are you going to Sweden? Are you going to the final?
Yes, I am, actually. We wouldn't have won today. I would have maybe not gone. So I guess I'm glad you guys won. I'll be there, and it's gonna be a good time. I actually love, you know, when we started with Gamers Studio, we had like no fans. It was so bad. It was like no fans.
Negative fans.
We only had haters, you know.
Yeah.
Now we have as many haters as fans, which is great, and they're so loud. That's great. So yeah, it's gonna be good to see the stadium just go ham, you know.
Yeah, I mean, in your other orgs, they're not reaching those playoff stadium.
Yeah, it's
so
true.
it's actually nice that she's like LOL is doing well.
Well, what do you mean?
I don't know.
What do teams?
What do I mean?
They're reaching finals. Okay, we might be losing finals, but we reached them. What are you talking about? What is this free roast?
Yeah, it's just a roast.
For, like,
I'm sorry.
No reason.
It has to happen. Let's take a selfie.
What is this?
What is this?
Are we gonna agree to the selfie after such?
I mean, you can deny it.
Unbelievable.
Nobody has actually denied the selfie. Would you like to deny it?
Okay, I won't do that to you. After the burp, I just can't. I just can't allow it to happen. You want me to stand up?
Yes, please.
Be careful. I'm very tall.
I'm wearing heels,
also very tall.
I was just gonna go like this. Yeah, this way, Carlos looks the tallest.
I'm actually 2 meters.
Excellent. Thank you. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, sorry for burping also.
No, please, okay.
No problem. I didn't hear it.
Stop mentioning it.
Maybe you didn't mention it. I didn't know.
Like, there's like no reason.
No, all jokes aside, congratulations. Great play. Cheers. We'll see you in Malmö. That was all from us tonight. We've got 100 Thieves. Sorry, they get really mad when I say that. 100 Thieves versus Cloud9 is up in the LCS playoffs. So.
Shout out Abu Dhabi closer.
Shout out 100.
We'll be back tomorrow to find out our last match for finals weekend in Malmö on Saturday. Have a great night.
Cheers.
Bye.
Cheers.
Let's go G2! Let's go G2!
Welcome everyone to the LEC Summer Playoffs Kings match between G2 Esports and Rogue.
1, 2, 3, Rogue!
Bit of a rivalry between G2 and Rogue. These two organizations have met multiple times, often in the upper bracket. Often there's a lot on the line. Both of these teams are looking to secure a top 2 seed and an auto buy into the group stage at the World Championship. And I feel like we're going to get to see some very exciting team fights already here in Game 1.
Backline polymorph going out as well. Trimby trying to get in as well, but he just can't do it. Trimby down, Jankos takes him. And look at Targos and Black, and they're still full HP. Camps coming in from the side as well, as you say. Good stopwatch, and Larson just absolutely eaten up by Broken Blade. G2 have been on the wrong end of Aatrox in the past. This time it comes to their better. Broken Blade forced into the GA, Auto 1 they forced away as well. EQ combo from Jankos will knock him up. Broken Blade back to full HP, because of course he is. As G2 look for the chase, the charm just short comp, trying to do Zeri things, but what can you do in the face of G2? An absolute demolition, a show of force from G2 as they claim Game 1.
About to jump into Game 2 of this best of 5 between G2 and Rogue.
They shouldn't stay here for too long, comp. Spell should use, there's the root, the encore coming out as well. Jankos gets in, the shutdown, the slide away with the Emperor's Divide, keeps Larson alive for the moment as he dodges away. Do you look to turn this one around? The Sundisc coming out, stopwatch from Larson. Broken Blade keeping the rest of Rogue busy off towards the side, and Jankos claims his second of the fight. They overstepped, they overstayed, and they were punished. G2 take a decisive win. Game 3 of this best of 5, G2 on match point to lock the finals.
They called in the Forge Guard, but the Tempered Fate finds the backline. Unbreakable Shield coming over the Whirling Death. There's a shutdown, and immediately Black gets online. There's 2. Looking for 3 as Malrang tries to get away. Amazing right now. G2 will close it out 3-0 versus Rogue.